What up, what up, what up, everybody? It's your boy. It's the man is Hungar, the Star Variant. With me, as always, is my brothers from another mother, Justin Thor, and Shadow and Sun. See, Shadow and Sun, it says Shadow and Sun.
Yeah, that's not your name, man. Where's my good buddy Bonehead?
I got your phone head.
CCG, what up, homie?
I think I did something on my end and I forgot how to undo it so that when I do a show, it doesn't show anybody's names, which really kind of sucks for, everybody but me because,
You go in, you go into banners.
I
I
was
think,
going into settings.
or maybe even brand.
No, Brand changes the logo up in the corner where it says StreamYards.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So if you want to shut that off.
How's everybody been?
Pretty good, pretty good. Clipping out, and building miniatures and painting up a storm the past week or so.
I've been at my brother. I was at my brother's house for a few days. Check this out, all you people out there in YouTube land. I ain't been in the hospital and going on 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm really
Dude, I'm
losing.
telling you, man, those prayers are working.
Yeah, that thing you were showing off the other night with the antlers, that thing was cool.
Thanks, man.
I've been binge watching Legend of Vox Machina.
Oh.
And I've been for so long, I'm like, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not a big Matt Mercer fan, blah blah blah. And then Mac's wife, she's like, dude, you watch anime, you've got to watch this. It is awesome. And then DM James is like, dude, you're a little weirdo who likes anime, you gotta watch this. So I was like, fine, I will watch it. And I watched it and it's good. What up, Left?
Laugh.
Yeah, I watch so much stuff as it is. I barely have time for my regular, bros and sisters out there. I'll try to give it a watch, but
you watch so much shit, dude. You're always on YouTube video. You turn around every time you turn around, there's Shadow.
Yeah, he's got a second head somewhere that he's watching something right now with.
Yeah, I do actually have 3 devices, and I'm actually supposed to get 2 new laptops. Hopefully by the end of the month, so that I'll basically be a spider. I'll have 8 eyes, 1 for each screen.
No, I picture it more like that guy from Total Recall.
Quato.
Yeah, Quato. The end son doesn't refer to Jackson.
I'm telling you, man, he's been so busy. He's barely been on 1 show a week for the past couple of months now. It's gonna have to threaten him with removing his name on the title.
Oh.
Bring us here, guys. A little early for
I'm many things, but not a fanboy.
Doing good, everybody. Doing good, Michael. Had to fix everybody's name. I am the master.
Lord.
We got Shadow and Sun wants to be Hungar. Justin Thor, Hungar's fanboy.
I am no one's fanboy, okay?
If you were a fanboy of anybody, it would be me, bitch.
No.
So yeah, I got my daughter a little HP notebook the other day. She is really excited about that. Got it uses. It's old, but it was never used. It has Windows 8.
Is that even going to work with anything?
Well, it's a notebook, so it has 2 gigs of memory. The only thing it's good for is
That's
going on.
like nothing. That's like
It's-
nothing. She'll use that up in the first like 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's good for going on Facebook and watching anime online, and that's all she wants it for.
No, I need mine for a whole bunch of different games. You know, that I'm in. You use like Roll20 or Discord and things like that, and
$50
My
is
little-
$50, bro.
I'm looking at more like almost 1,500 for
Yeah.
one of the laptops.
Yeah, like laptop I had that I bought brand new. It was a really good gaming laptop. You know what, QC Rider? I paid a lot for it, but this, I'm telling you, what's crazy is this laptop that I got now. I paid like $300 for, and it has so much memory.
Yeah, that's a biggie. I gotta have at least a terabyte. I'm already using over a terabyte storing, all of our old videos because when
You
Jackie's
can
in it,
get external hard drives to plug
Oh,
I
into
have
those
one.
things.
I used up one of those already. A terabyte plus what's on my son's computer, and I've got about 3 different memory cards. that I still
Somebody
need
bought
to-
me a sticker the other day for my van.
I'm not a person.
I am not a person. You should. His shadow seen me eat shit on my bike.
Why would I do that? What do you
QC
ride?
Rider said that.
Oh, no. Actually, I was, believe it or not, I was just telling, who the hell was I telling about your bike deal? The 2 for 1,500?
Litholis's computer has 6 terabytes of storage, 5.5 terabytes of which are probably full of porn.
Anime porn, though, not real porn.
Hardcore hentai tentacle stuff.
Yeah.
Is there any other kind?
They tell me there is, but I haven't seen it.
Guys. And with that, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great
8 minutes and 22 seconds and we're out. Love it.
Yep, Hungar
gotta
is
be a
stuck at the
record.
left field.
It's got to be a record.
It would be a record length of time for me.
That's what she
Oh,
said.
You heard about the woman who couldn't achieve orgasm, right?
she didn't see my face.
Who cares?
Oh.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Who cares?
Justin, you're Baron Harkonnen's fanboy?
Yeah. I just mostly like his chair.
Our Baron down here in Florida in SCA, his name was Baron Harkonnen.
That's
Okay.
pretty creepy, man.
I thought you were,
No.
Hungar's little bro.
No. You don't got a cool floating chair.
Dude, I got the coolest t-shirts though. I've got the best
Yeah.
freaking
that does
sticker on Facebook. Or not Facebook, on YouTube. And this is a hill that I will die on. Nobody has a better online persona than me.
Shut up.
Oh.
Oh.
I've got the best name and the best picture.
I would rather trade places with Mr. Beast.
Well, yeah, Mr. Beast is cool.
I would retire immediately with all that fortune.
I would sell my website, sell my channels like super quick, and then it'd be like, "Where'd Hungar go?" And it was like, I don't even remember who Hungar was.
We know where to find you. You'd be in the Philippines.
Yeah,
Buy the-
That money,
buy
you
the-
wouldn't have to go to the Philippines.
with that money, I'd
Oh.
still go to the Philippines.
Fuck yeah. excuse my French, but yeah, you just own the place.
Wow, Shadow said, "Fuck."
Yeah, I know. I'll do penance later.
I expect 50 lashes and to step on a piece of Lego with your bare foot.
That brings back many a memory. Little guy's Lego collection is legendary.
Legend. Wait for it. Dairy. That is why Neil Patrick Harris is like the best actor.
It's funny you mention that. My son is recently become re-obsessed with Dr. Horrible. You guys remember that?
Oh, Dr.
Yeah.
Horrible Sing Along blog is awesome. But Neil Patrick Harris, he played Barney on How I Met Your Mother.
Yep.
And this dude is just like super gay. But in How I Met Your Mother, he was the ultimate bro.
Yep. And he was pretty cool in Starship Troopers. Got to admit.
Starship
Carl
Troopers.
died in like the first half of the book.
Poor Carl. Yeah. They really need to do that book properly.
Yeah, I've got the. Hold on. God dang it. Right here, buddy.
Ooh, the rope.
Nice.
No, it's not. It's a.
Tabletop. It's the minis game.
Yeah, no, it's not even the minis game. It's just one of those old hex board games. You know, the bookshelf games with thousands of these little freaking counters.
Oh, you can replace those with minis.
Sure, and I do have Grim sent me a box of the minis, and he's sending me a bunch more of the minis from the miniature game. It's more or less based on the cartoon, I guess, which I never got to see.
The Roughnecks. Roughnecks was pretty good.
Yeah, one of these days I'll get around to seeing.
It's a little rough to modern standards, but it's still worth the watch.
Right, but I mean, so is Babylon 5, and that's not going to stop me from, gushing every time I think about that show.
Babylon 5 was rough to the 1994 standards, okay? The acting in the first 2 seasons, not good. What the hell is that? Scott, what's that? Like,
It's a Peryton attacking a dude. I thought this was the mini you were talking about.
No, I was talking about the it was like an elk.
Oh, the white stack.
Yeah, but the antlers are like 4 times denser than they should be.
Yeah, that's issues when you're working with, I guess, green stuff or whatever the sculpting medium they used. But yeah. I dig this one.
It still looks cool.
Yeah, the cartoon Starship Troopers is better than the live action.
Yeah, there was a.
You know what's funny? Real quick, you guys remember Wing Commander?
Wing Commander. Yes. I have the DVD around here somewhere.
Well,
because I got the movie right.
Casper Van Dien, one of, if not his first appearance, on the big screen or whatever, was in the Wing Commander 3 or 4 PlayStation game with the live action cutscenes with Malcolm McDowell and I forget the actor's name who played Biff from Back to the Future. He was one of the troopers in Wing Commander.
Yeah. Malcolm McDowell turned out to be the bad guy in that series.
Did he?
Shadow.
Yeah, by the end, he turned out to be the bad guy.
Did I get your name right, Shadow?
Yeah. Well, you want to change it?
No.
Okay. It looks good. Justin says
Oh,
pretty.
I didn't even notice that.
That's good. That was good.
Definitely funny. You guys are a bunch of jokers.
Oh. You are a wrong man.
So what do you guys got going for this week? Anything, exciting?
I've
No.
got the week off, so
Today is my one and only actual day off, even though I'm going to do a freaking video probably right after
Yeah.
this one about painting. It's going to be a 5-minute single tip on how to paint the best minis you've ever painted that nobody ever talks about, but is crucial.
What does
so you're gonna do a
PLS,
video on Slapchop, huh?
Justin? What does PLS stand for in your name?
Well, it shouldn't be PLS. It should be. I originally had a Let's Play channel
Oh,
many moons ago.
What are you doing, buddy?
And
dog.
if you want to
Excuse me,
contact me through email or whatever, it's that at Gmail.
Any of you guys got dogs?
Yeah.
over at my ex's house.
My dog has this thing where only in the studio here where it's carpeted, he is licking the freaking carpet.
He's a carpet muncher.
Well, he's actually never spent more than about 5 minutes near a female dog. And unfortunately he did have his nuggets removed when he was about
Oh, you savage.
well, it had no choice, man. It was that or they're gonna take him. I had like 10 years old. He'd been here with us, and they literally went door to door checking for dogs and registration and everything to drum up some money or whatever. And they said, well, if you don't get him fixed, we'll have to, take him. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And so we had him fixed, and ever since
I told them they could take these. Oh no, I wouldn't have told them they could take these nuts because they might have.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, what is up with that? I mean, he's just sitting here, just happily just licking away. I mean,
you walk
my
around
guess is
that
he's trying
room barefoot?
No, we don't walk
No.
around the house barefoot. And
Could be salt.
I've had the studio up here for over a year. He's probably licked every square inch of the carpet, because if I come up here, he's right there. And other than getting rid of the taste of his asshole, I can't think of what other possible reason he could be doing.
It feels weird. It could just be a sensation thing.
And if I try to move him from it, hey, he goes right back to the spot he was licking. It's just like, dude, Dewey. And he's just happy, just and if I lock him out, he'll just sit there and cry like a little girl. Hey, come here. Come say hi to everybody.
I do not know, man. Dogs are weird.
Chewy, you jackass. Hey,
No.
Once upon a time, if he knew we were doing a video, now he's leaving. He would do anything he could to get on camera when we were downstairs, and now he doesn't want to be on camera.
We have a Shih Tzu that is like 6 months to a year from dying. She's that old. Yeah. So she'll still be around in like 2 decades.
Did we have daylight savings time sometime recently?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, you're serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I guess my tablet's all self-corrected because I didn't do shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What up, Elf Bait?
Because I know my son got off to school just fine. His ride picked him up, but I was like, oh crap! I hope he didn't end up at school an hour early.
Oh,
Yeah, the
yeah.
boy loved freaking school. I'm telling you guys, it's the weirdest thing. When he was in, pre-COVID stuff, he would use any excuse to get out of school. I kid you not. Once he hurt his knee, he fell down and skinned his knee. And the nurse called me, and I was like, you want to ride home, because we ride our bikes, and he would have to walk home, and I'm like, he'd rather walk home on a sore knee than spend the rest of the day at school just kicking back. You know what I mean? And now he's at school from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. sometimes later if he can get away with it.
You sure he isn't a pod person?
What's that?
Elf never feels good enough.
You
to
don't know
come
what
on
a
my
pod
stream.
person is? The pod
A pod
people?
person. Pod
No,
people.
a pod for pod. I thought you said pog. Pod person, yeah, he's definitely a star seed. I keep hearing that from people. But yeah,
It's all good, Elf. You ain't got to jump on.
Yeah, Elf, long time no see, man. What's happening?
He's not
I
feeling good
haven't
today.
heard any news about the old Galacta since I talked to you, which is kind of okay for me because any minute now the Dungeons and Lasers 5 Kickstarter is going to blow off. And my wife literally started crying when she saw the second box arrive in the house, which is only,
He's going
Went
to
over to-
bankrupt us.
VM James's house.
it was
I
only,
got
it was
this.
only 5 more boxes like this size,
Yeah.
which was just part of the first order. And I'm giving half that shit away anyway,
I got this.
Nice.
I got this.
Ooh.
Yeah, you guys are gonna. I've got an original copy of that. You guys are gonna hate me though. I got this new game called CAV, CAV,
Yeah. I've heard of Cav.
and it's a simpler version of BattleTech. Here's one of the newest ones I got for it.
Spider Tank.
If you guys are wondering what game I'm going to be running when I finally get off my ass,
I just got a PDF of that. It was kind of cool. When I got the game, I actually
Whoa,
got
that's
this
a
free
thick
deck
book.
of cards. It is. It's like 780 pages. They sent me not only a free deck of cards, but a free pack of Smarties.
Oh.
nice.
I know, just
We
simple
call
little
those
stuff like that.
rockets here.
you can
OCC.
make your freaking day. Yeah, I'm not a
DCC
big
is a
fan
great
of that
game.
so far, but I got Crafty Matt gave me the PDF, all the PDFs for Dying Earth, and so Omanal gave me all the PDFs for Dungeon Crawl and Mutant Crawl Classics. But I've
Accidentally
literally
brought
got
this home.
Oh shit!
Accidentally.
You bastard!
No, I have
I've only
one
got-
through. I have 1 through 10, and my brother's been keeping them for me, and we accidentally put them in the book. But
Cthulhu.
Nice. Yo Geek gave me like 8 downloads of Call of Cthulhu PDF. It's another reason I need to get a damn laptop. My tablet's almost full of PDFs that I haven't even been able to read, but a few pages of. Oh, and Omanal gave me a PDF of. Remember the old Warlord comic book?
yeah,
All of them on PDF.
but what's crazy? I had a stack of game books that James gave me that standing up was taller than my waist.
Nice. That's a good
He
start.
gave me like 50 or 60 books. I dropped a lot of them off at my ex-wife's house because she has more space than me.
Okay. Well, when you run out of space, I haven't.
Bad
Oh.
Shadow, no donuts.
I'll never run out of space. I'll start getting rid of furniture if I have to.
Oh, geez. Don't let your wife hear that. She's Mexican. She will kill you.
She's already expecting to not be able to afford to make tacos for the next month because of those box coming to the door.
No. That's not how it works at the old Casa de Shadow. Her money's her money. My money's my money, and I've got way more. Way more.
He spent all the burrito money on plastic.
No enchiladas.
I actually had to teach her how to make tacos right. So I'm not joking. I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
joking.
got fucked up. It's fucked up.
She added to the recipe. She throws some sort of peppers in it, but she would have made them with just freaking beans and potatoes, and I'm like, that's not a fucking taco.
It is in Mexico.
Right? Yeah, and I've seen what they call water. Okay, no thanks.
Like in the Philippines, you don't drink the water over there either.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, tomorrow's prepper video is all about water.
You should look at the U.S.-Mexico land-water treaty.
Check it out, guys.
See where Mexico gets all its water from.
I can do a comb over now. Look, Hungar's got hair.
He's got 3 hairs. He's almost hairier than Homer.
You grow the beard back out, Hungar?
Yes, I'm growing the beard back out. I'm tired of missing out on my freaking senior discount.
The hairless Hungar was scaring me.
See, I got hair now.
Don't stand up and show it.
Oh
yeah, nobody's going to see that live action D&D movie, dude.
What D&D live action movie? What does this speak of?
I think if I go down to the bay and ask a guy with a peg leg, he'll give me a copy, but I'll only take it for free.
I won't even watch it. It would just piss me off.
Well, when they demasculate the main male character.
Well,
yeah,
that's going on. That's been a thing for years now. I mean, it literally started with like Married with Children. They're never going to stop that shit until we. I did not step on you, you big baby.
What was it? I was saying to Omanow in the green room the other night. The only positive male character or father figure in television in the last 20, 25 years has been the father from The Man in the High Castle.
Jesus Christ.
Seriously, he's the only one that tries to instill morals or values into his children. And
I'm like Elfbait. I'm not giving Wizards of the Coast any more of my money.
Family. Oh.
Yeah, they keep this shit up, and they're going to end up with the real life Handmaid's Tale. I think that's what they want. They just don't want to say it. They want to push certain people that far. And
what is it? They took Camp of the Saints and the Turner Diaries as instruction manuals and not cautionary tales.
Yeah,
both books I recommend you read.
That's why I'm going to be over in the fields where men are men and some of the
women are too.
Women are too, yeah. Men are men and the women are women, and some of the men are too.
That's what they want.
Those ladyboys, well, freaking, some of them you can just look at.
We know that's the only reason why you're moving there.
No. You have a go at Elfbait. I'm sorry we ran you off, man.
How do we run them off?
I don't know, talking about silly shit.
We always talk about silly shit.
Yeah,
I'm going to the Philippines in July, QC.
For the lady boys and nothing else.
No, you see online and you see some of these and you're like, yeah, that's a dude.
Yeah.
And then you see something and you're like, that's a dude? What up, Raven? Welcome. Hey, man, you're welcome to jump in the show if you want to. Link is in the comments.
Hey, it's Raven.
Okay, what are your thoughts on Shadow Dark? I don't know. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Sounds shattering
jump on.
and dark.
Yeah, I watched some playthroughs of people playing it, and it doesn't seem like anything different other than the virtue signaling author, and I don't care. I don't care.
You see, I'm only
if
going over for a month, bro. Well, welcome to the work stream, buddy.
I literally saw her, the author, ask for
Right,
initiative.
everybody, quiet down now. We got a little streamer on.
What are you talking about?
We'll
I've
go
been here the
slow
whole
because she's
time.
not feeling well.
I love the T-shirt there, Elf.
You're welcome.
Regular show
Oh,
is
no
just
shit. Shit.
regular show is just the hotness.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? Right there, buddy.
So, Shadow Dark. As far as opinions on it go, it's actually pretty solid. I've looked through it. I don't see anything that really jumps out as a red flag on it. It's a nice melding of old school ideals and concepts with newer mechanics. So, from what I've looked over the quick start rules and the player's guide and DM's guide that they've put out for free as far as promotion for the game, it's a solid game. It's nicely illustrated in black and white in the old school style. There's just I actually backed out of it again because I just like, am I ever going to play this? And then I'm like, the more I learned about it, the more I read about it, the more I wanted to get it. So I actually went back in and renewed my backer for it.
You're like, I'm backing, I'm not backing, I'm backing off from backing, now I'm backing again.
Well, unlike some dudes with a wispy little goatee, I don't have a lot of money. Shadow.
If it was a good product, I'd back it. But I watched her doing a live play of it, and it took the party the better part of an hour to get out of a boat and make it,
Yeah, but how
even
much of
100
that
feet
is down to the individual group though, and not the game? Because
it's all on the DM. The DM can move that shit along a lot faster. And rolling for initiative to get out of the boat when there was absolutely no reason for it was just like, you're kidding me. Why?
But that's not
on
in the
the-
game
that's on the
either. Again,
DM.
that's the DM. That's not the game. I mean,
That's
I
the-
could make AD&D be absolutely cumbersome and unplayable as well. And I can make 5th edition be super streamlined. It just comes down to how you choose to do it and what to do. Like you said, it's up to the DM. But as far as a game goes, it's a solid game.
So you're saying she's a better writer than actual game master?
Probably. I mean,
Those who can't do teach.
or people have different skill sets. I mean, there's also a certain amount of just hamming it up and letting people do what they want to on screen so you can get your product out there, because advertising, marketing, and capitalism. So,
All good things.
I mean, if just look at McDonald's, they know their food sucks and is bad for you, and yet they market that shit like they believe it's made of gold and comes from heaven.
They just released a chicken version of the Big Mac, okay? Don't badmouth McDonald's.
Well, I eat McDonald's on occasion as well, but I'm
Every once
just
in a
saying
while.
in terms of can do and all of that. I mean, no matter, I mean, your product and your marketing for your product can be very separate things. So
Every once in a while, I go to McDonald's and I get a Big Mac with quarter pounder.
I started going back since they started putting upping their quarter pounder game where you can actually get a quarter pounder with vegetables on it. Because when I eat a burger, I do like onions and pickle lettuce and tomato and all of that.
I love all that. I just can't eat it.
But that
I
back in
haven't
the
been-
day, the only thing your quarter pounder could come with was cheese and onions.
And pickles, yeah.
Yeah, and pickles. So
I haven't gone to McDonald's in about 6 years, and I literally never will again. Even
I
if
just
they
like
bring back the
nuggets.
freaking McRib, which I loved. I love the McRib sandwich. My whole family did. But I found an alternate substitute. when it comes to that particular sandwich. And I'm gonna make everything at home guy.
Except
I
baby
do
back
all the-
ribs.
You can slow cook
well,
those.
no, I do actually. I do make my own baby back
Yeah, but
ribs.
you also go to Chili's.
Well,
I
sometimes
went
you
there
just
for
don't
the- I
want to
went there
cook,
for
man.
something else.
Sometimes
Yeah,
you don't just want to cook.
Shadow, why is your name misspelled?
Sadao and Son. He's now
tried
become
to
he's become a
point that out
Fremen.
several
While we
times.
weren't looking, he went out and became a Fremen. So now he's Sadao. We should call him Sadao. That's got to be your next D&D character, man. Sadao. I imagine he is
Well, he's
a drow assassin, and
You know what? I'll use that. I'll use that for.
The Draga.
James L is running a game of Axe real soon, and I do have an Elf Nightblade character I rolled up, so I'll do that.
Hey,
I'll do that.
take your character names
Thank
where
you.
you can. My first paladin character was named after a misread of the product code for a Citadel miniature. I read the package and I thought it said Facio Armored Paladin, and it was actually FAC 10. And because back in the day they had the very the typewriter stamped onto the back card of the blister pack, and half the time you could barely read them. So I played Facio forever. It's my favorite enough character that I'm trying to get together the conversion bits from the Plastic Perry's 100 Years War. No, War of the Roses line, excuse me, to try and rebuild him in 28 millimeter.
I've had a character name
Facio.
since the Dwarf Splat book came out, second at AD&D. Nalbar Warhammer. Randomly wrote that bad boy from the Splat book, and I've been using that name since.
Oh yeah, and,
For my dwarf fighters, because you get a name, you stick. You get a name you like, you stick with it.
The only name
Yeah.
I've really ever stuck with was I've used it on several characters. Several of my female characters I've played have been named Maya. Just as a name that I've liked since I was 4. I had a dog named Maya.
I could never see a use case to use Lurg again. Lurg was my orc.
I've used Nalbar Warhammer a lot.
My very first elf character was Shagon Icehawk. He was an ice elf from the old Rolaids Elves book.
The one thing I really had fun doing with Lurg was periodically erasing the name and finding a different way to spell it on the sheet, because he was an orc.
Yeah, I think we were all guilty of having done that at least once or twice. The
No, I do it
character
like
I'm
every
running
fifth session.
in Bruce Lombardo's game for Table Breakers. That's a reused name. I just added a new last name.
Yeah, I've always had a knack for names, not a brag or anything, but like my gaming groups would come to me like, dude, name my character. I can't think of anything. Especially like Star Wars characters, because they always have that kind of weird cadence to them.
Yeah. I think when I play Shadowrun and I play at work, I always name him Stink Teeth.
Stink Teeth.
Teeth. Teef.
Yeah.
My first Star Wars character was named Mix Makuta.
My first D&D character name
was like a Star Wars character. I mean,
my first D&D character was named Thorin Oakenshield, because I'm creative and I was 8.
Hey, the first adventure I ever wrote was called The Temple of Elf Doom. I was 8 and had just played D&D the weekend before for the first time.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Well,
I wish
I've been
I'd
a
gotten in
DM for
earlier.
life, man. I came home and just had to play D&D. I had to try to recreate it from scratch. Wrote a dungeon, ran my parents through it. So that's pretty bad. That's my origin story for D&D. It's totally legit and real, but I accidentally discovered D&D. I was over, just happened to be at a friend's house, and he pulled out the I think the Holmes edition.
How's the wife, by the way, Elf?
Oh, my wife?
Yeah.
She's
Your
been-
unicorn.
Oh, yeah, she's fine. She took a day off today. She's got a chronic medical condition that eats up a lot of her PTO for FMLA. And she's like, my PTO just refreshed. I'm going to take a day off because I want to, not because I'm sick.
Yeah. Mages, if you want to hop in, I'll send you the link.
Another feeling health. My wife's got lupus, and it's a bitch. But she's still working because if she didn't work, no insurance company on the planet would actually take her. So
Insurance, what a scam. I had to get a new doctor
I
because
think you're muted, Elf.
Oh, my headset bumped. Yeah. So yeah, my wife still works too because we have to be a 2-income household. But yeah, she's got trigeminal neuralgia, which is chronic nerve pain in the face. It's basically
Yeah, I know it
the
is.
nerve that goes right around here. It's crazy.
Ouch.
I had to get a new doctor because I've been seeing the same doctor for about 2 years now, and they still haven't gave me a thing for a nephrologist, kidney doctor, or a cardiologist.
Yeah, it can be crazy. My youngest has been identified as having fibromyalgia since they were like 14, but because they were a minor, no doctor would give an official diagnosis. So now
My
that they're
wife got that
19,
too.
what?
my
What
wife
was that?
has that too.
Yeah,
My
so
wife has
fibro
that
fibro as a teen is just that's a life killer, and it's created all kinds of issues for them because
Well, I have the triple bypass and I need a cardiologist, but my doctor just hasn't given me a referral. Plus, I've got stage 3 kidney disease and I don't have a kidney doctor because my doctor has. I got a new doctor. I got a new primary care physician. I was like, this is insane.
yeah, moving to Missouri was was definitely a big change for the medical landscape. I mean, we found a good hospital, but like my insurance is badass for the company I work for. In fact, we can even self-refer on my insurance, but the doctors here won't accept self-referral even though it's in my insurance.
That's the crazy.
They're like, nope, you need a referral. I'm like, dude, I can self-refer. I pay enough money to be able to self-refer.
How you doing, Sean? How's the Great White North?
It's pretty white. We got snow last night and we got snow today.
Oh, that racist country.
Yeah.
Either
not
I have a
racism.
cocaine problem, but
Don't tell Connell, he'll be up there in 5 minutes.
well, then they won't have a cocaine problem anymore.
My
Hey,
cocaine's so white, the cops let it go with a warning.
Connell, my front yard, my walkway, it's just cocaine. Please.
It's not cocaine; it's plutonium nibework.
No.
There you go. There you go.
Here's a shovel. Now move all that cocaine to the sides to clear a path.
Don't
I
worry, I
expect
drive
them
better
to
when I'm
go.
stoned.
Oh, that was such a great movie.
You know, it's funny. My mom, being the hippie that she was, had no problem with me and my 10-year-old friends watching that movie. Yep. It should also be no surprise that the first naked female characters I started drawing in my fantasy art after that came after that movie.
Yeah, my son would literally call me a heretic if we watched that together.
You should force him to.
Yeah, I also had basically a subscription to Heavy Metal magazine when I was 10 too, because the guy at the corner store used to go out to the bars with my mom and dad. You know, back in the 80s when your parents would go to the bar and leave you at home by yourself, and I'd come in and be like,
my mom took me with her.
I have so it's a great story, honestly. When my mom was when I was like 3 or 4, and my mom was out on her own with me. Because my dad was an asshat and disappeared real quick. She had friends who owned a tavern that played, where they played music and everything like that, right? And she was friends with the band, and also with the owner of the tavern. So she would go out there to hang out and watch the shows, and I would sit in the kitchen with a plate full of French fries, a bottle of ketchup, and a 6-pack of 7-Up. And then I guess one night I wandered out and got up on stage and started playing harmonica with the band.
Nice.
I mean, playing harmonica. I was 4.
Now, did I go AFK?
That just makes it more endearing.
Oh yeah.
Did I
It's
go
like
AFK and somebody throw out a freaking heavy metal reference?
Yeah. That was me.
Nice.
But bonus points to everybody here for getting it.
Yeah.
Heavy
I
Metal
love
was
that one.
great.
The second one, not so much.
Well, the
Yeah.
second one is total nepotism because the second one was headed by Kevin Eastman, from Eastman and Laird TMNT, fame, who was married to Julie Strain, who was the female model for the main character in the movie.
Well, the first one had John Candy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back home, I'm just a nerd, but here,
Oh, that was in the original one. Den.
yeah,
The
Then-
first one had Blue Oyster Cult. That's
Yeah.
all I
The
got.
first one had Devo too. So
the first one had Devo. I was getting ready to say that. I was like Devo.
that
You
segment
know
with
what's funny though?
oh,
The,
go ahead.
you know the song Blue Oyster Cult does in there, Veteran of Psychic Wars. Well, on the same album, they actually wrote a better song called Vengeance the Pact that is literally about the girl with the flying, critter
Terrakian?
yeah, I couldn't remember what they were
Yeah,
called.
Tarna.
It's literally about that. It's a better song, and Veteran of the Psychic Wars is actually about the Vietnam War, and they picked that one over the better song. Like
Maybe they didn't want to be quite on the nose.
Oh, the World War II.
Kind of like wearing the band the T-shirt for the band you're actually seeing to their concert.
Yeah.
I
The
mean, they literally
World
wrote
War
a
II.
song for the movie, and they chose not to use it. Instead, they chose a kind of a.
I
lame
will
song,
say,
if you ask me.
speaking of
I like
Blue Oyster
Veteran
Cult,
of
the
Psychic
greatest shame of all musical choices is the fact that to this date we still don't have an American-made Godzilla movie that plays Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla in the end credits because it's a perfect end credit scroll. Do 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 do. And I expected that to be on the Matthew Broderick one, the crappy Godzilla, Crapzilla, but no, it wasn't there. And then when we started seeing them come out, big budget here in the U.S. with a legit Godzilla, still no.
I wonder if they were charging extra for the brand, the combo.
Oh, I'm sure that Blue Oyster Cult was like, we'll let you use it for $1 billion. Because they
just put out an album last year. They're not hurting for money.
No, it's
You
not a
know,
matter of
that's
hurting for money, but you can always want more money. And the fact is if you got a hot commodity song that just fits perfectly,
it could have something to do with the fact that they actually kind of went out of their way to avoid fame, playing
that's
many
also
of
a
their
possibility.
they played a lot of their concerts under a different name, so only their real fans would show up, kind of thing.
It also could be
And-
that they just flat out don't own the master rights, and the company, the label
That could be it.
doesn't
Yeah, that
allow
could
them
be
to
it.
do it. That's why
What's your favorite skit from the Heavy Metal movie? I will go first. The World War II playing. Where
that's a legit
everything-
one.
Yeah, everybody turns into zombies and shit.
I like the Dan one.
Dan, yeah. Shadow,
Cabby.
Cabby. Cabby's good.
Sean,
I haven't seen the movie in 20 years. I don't remember anything.
Eli.
Yeah, for me, it's the Terrakian one that really stood out. Like I've contemplated making an entire miniatures range based on the horde in that movie, in that segment. The weird cyber mutant guys.
Yeah.
They are cool. They are cool.
Sorry, did I say 20? I'm at 30. God, I was 20 years old. Oh my God.
But
Where's the
no,
time
go
going?
watch it.
Right?
I still
Yeah.
have a copy of it on the VHS.
VHS.
I had a Blu-ray copy, but when I moved out of the roommate house, I couldn't take all of my stuff with me right away because I moved in with my wife, my wife to be, and we only lived a short distance from the roommate house. But my roommates were suddenly became all twitchy, like, dude, I've known you guys forever because they're also my friends, and they're like, oh, we don't want you coming back and grabbing your stuff unless somebody's here. I'm like, what the fuck, man? We've been friends since 8th grade. And so I lost a bunch of my gaming stuff and then also my anime collection and my DVD collection and all that
Wow.
stuff.
I would have left them a little parting gift. Just saying.
Yeah, well, they all had they had all made it quite clear that for whatever reason, me getting a life just didn't fit with their thing. So, but fast forward, I'm friends with some of them again. But the guy who owned the house, when he lost the house, he didn't even let me know so I could come get my stuff.
Hey, the thing is, you got a whole wife out of it.
Well, yeah, and
And
I don't know if it was just such a weird time. I mean, not going to go down memory lane, but on the flip side, one of the roommates is basically my brother now, so he's an awesome guy. And then another one of the roommates named his game store after a joke that him and I had when we lived together. So
There you go. It sounds like a win-win.
yeah, the guy I was friends with since 8th grade was. Well, the guy, to be honest, it was the dude who owned the house that I was friends with since 8th grade, who was the big character, because everybody else was just paying rent like me. So, but no, that's why my collection is not as big as it could be, because all my Rifts books, all my Star Wars books got left behind. Like I said, my video collection was left behind.
Crazy.
You know, I've not heard of Shadow Dark, so I don't know if it's going to make you put down Worlds Without Numbers. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to put down Castles and Crusades.
I think everybody wants to say that the new thing is going to be the big
Yeah.
thing, and so Shadow Dark is great, and it will probably bring some people into the game who might have avoided going full old school, like OSE. I mean, OSE is just BX with better formatting.
That's exactly it. It's
This is it
it's
right
true
here.
to the classic.
Yeah, and so
Dungeon Crawl
but
Classics.
and OSE is, of course, like a lot of good solid core systems, very, very generic. Shadow Dark is also very generic, and Shadow Dark is going to probably pull some of the 5e crowd a little closer into OSE or into old school, where OSE might not have.
Which is good. Let's
yeah.
get these 5 years over to OCC.
Well, I'm on record. I don't have any major issues with 5e. I mean, it's a flavor of game. Play what you want to play, and I can like gourmet food and crap ass food at the same time too, and eat like them for different reasons.
We played 5e for over a year, and I had fun playing it.
I've been running my current campaign for 2 years now, over 2 years now.
And but I'd much rather play AD&D.
Yeah, I'm. For me, I don't know if I could go all the way back to AD&D. I've talked to Sean about this a few times. I find to play AD&D to make it feel like anything other than BX, you have to really get into the super crunch. And that's not something I ever did, even back when I played it.
There's a lot of nuance to really make AD&D sing that you have to keep. Like I know a lot of people who simplify AD&D, and I'm like, well, why aren't you just playing BX? Right?
Yeah.
The race versus class, the overall hit point increase.
Well, and I can play OSE and use race and class separate now too with the advanced options. So,
Sean, I would like to say you are a freaking beast from that drink stream when you was just chugging that whiskey.
Oh, I felt it afterwards. But on the AD&D front, the thing I've noticed is you need the player buy-in. And for all the nuance, all the little details. Like I love using weapon type versus armor. I love using the different scales. I make people track their spell components. I do all the disease checks. I do all the training costs, the monthly expenses, every little thing. And that's what makes AD&D sing. But it's not going to be for every player. And so like what I'm currently doing is I'm sort of gently nudging my various players into different groups based on their buy-in. Like my AD&D group that plays on Saturdays, they're 100% committed. They love the nuance.
Do you have a sorting hat?
Yes, it's the wizard hat with the star on it. You see it on the puppet there.
Hey, you're breaking third wall by saying it's a puppet.
I'm here as myself, as a representative of the channel.
I'm growing my beard back so I can,
He's the puppet
cosplay as the puppet.
The but I'm not gonna tell a player it's like, okay, well, you're no longer good for AD&D, here, go OSE. I'm just, again, softly nudging them. My OSE game, which runs Friday nights, is good for a rotating cast too, so people don't have to commit, whereas my AD&D games require more of a commitment. And I'm finding this as the Night Below group enters mid-levels. They're in the level 4 or 5 range. They're less and less inclined to do all the necessary work. One of the players showed up not knowing a damn thing about his character and options, and so we had to stop half the game while he checked it. It's like, no, you got to know this going in. Whereas OSE is a little easier to just drop in and be more casual. So, but I love AD&D. I like AD&D is my favorite system. But yeah, I recognize you need the player buy-in to
Found
really
one of my
make it sing.
sketchbooks.
Hey, Sean, can I ask you a rules question?
Go ahead.
Polymorph self. Wizard's
Okay.
got it. Turns into a grizzly bear. Can he claw bite?
If I'm remembering correctly, you get the physical attributes in the attack modes. You don't get any special abilities, like you wouldn't get infravision if you turned into something with infravision. You know what I mean?
But you
Yeah,
still,
but you
still get
should
the
be able to.
you still get the minus to attack as a non-weapon proficiency or not, non-proficient.
No,
penalty,
I
right?
wouldn't do a non-proficiency penalty. No.
I would say
okay.
that if he turns into a bear, then he gets his claw bite.
Yeah, you get the claw bite at your normal THAC0.
Yeah,
Okay.
like if you turn into a
The game
troll,
I'm in, I don't get either.
if you turn into a troll, you wouldn't get the regeneration, but you'd be able
You
to
still get
claw
the attack modes. Yeah, exactly.
All I get is like breathing underwater and flight.
No, you don't even get those. I don't believe. I would have to.
Not for polymorph. You'd have to use actual shape change.
Yeah, shape change.
To get flight or the water breathing.
That'd be up to your DM. Your DM.
Yeah,
say.
I'd have to review the spell again, but I don't think you get special mode. No, you do, because I remember we played and a character turned into a bird and he was able to fly. So you get basic transportation modes, but you wouldn't get water breathing, but you would get the ability to swim if you turned into a dolphin or something.
Yeah,
Well, dolphin don't have water breathing anyway.
Oh, that's true. They hold their breath. Yeah. So, very good point. But you get what I'm saying. I don't think you get.
no, I've been a GM for 45 years, but the one of the games I'm in, the DM, nah, I don't get the claw bite. I get the flight, and I get the appearance, but
Yeah, I would have rolled the other way. You get.
I'm not gonna be a dick about it. And, try to
Yeah,
get
I
it
would have
on
rolled
tape.
the same way, Sean. If you turn into like a dragon, you got the badass bite attack, and you got the claw attacks, and you got
maybe the tail swipe.
but you don't
whatever,
have
you
the
know.
breath weapon.
You don't have the breath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
you
you
don't
have
have
the
to
physical limb, you should be able to do the thing.
Yeah.
Now
Right,
the flip side of that is
I would even take the minuses to hit for it. Otherwise the spell is kind of useless. But I mean, not useless, but it definitely takes a lot of the punch out of it. But it's a pretty strict AD&D game. I'm having a blast. I was just curious to see what you guys would think about that.
I think it's strict because it's trying to create that progression from polymorph to shapeshift to.
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, the things it gives you, for example, you heal the D12 when the spell wears off, which is also a cheap way of giving yourself some hit points. The other thing, there's no system shock. Like if somebody polymorphs other on you, which you can, he polymorphs, turns you into a dragon, you actually do become a dragon. But the problem is then your mind changes and you believe you are the creature. And there's the system shock check. If you fail, you die. So there's
that's why you polymorph people into like a slug.
Yeah.
And then step on them.
No, I'm still having a lot of fun. I'm about to hit 9th level magic user, and it's been a lot of fun and very challenging. Just curious because I've always run it a certain way myself, and it was just
It threw you off in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I just
All right, guys, we're at the hour.
seriously.
We just started talking D&D.
Well, you guys can keep going. I'm going to log out and take a nap.
Will the stream keep
Yeah,
going?
Let's see.
No, I'm surprised that after 2 years in a 5e game, my party is just at eighth level.
Well, he didn't even do the things. Wow. He just out of here.
Yeah, we're still live. That's why.
Yeah, I think he's testing. He's testing to see if we remain live.
But yeah, it's everybody talks about how characters level so fast in 5e. I'm like, I've been going for 2 years, and we're playing pretty much every week, with some breaks to dip into other games, and they're just hitting 8th level, and we're using XP.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, you really should, not hinder the leveling up, but once you get to a certain point, it's gonna take some time.
Yeah, I think part of it is I have a pretty big party. There are 5 to 6 characters, so that XP gets divvied out.
It gets divided. You're at higher levels, and you're also using the XP system. Whereas a lot of the people who note the rapid advancement usually use milestone.
Yeah.
So the DM is just handing out the levels to keep his story going.
I have only milestoned one level.
Whoa. Okay, dividing XP. Okay, now I get it for gold, but magic items. If you get the magic item, you're not divvying that. If you get the kill, you're not.
We don't get
that.
XP for magic items in 5e.
Yeah, I think he's talking first ed though.
Yeah, totally. I was just like, what?
Because dividing XP for right now, one of the players one of the characters in the party has an 1100 XP lead on the rest of the party because he soloed an Owlbear.
Okay.
I kind of like the way it's done in Morkborg. At the end of whatever your scenario is, right? The DM just gives you a perk to one of your stats for your level up instead of having to count points.
Yeah. I have always, even in a world where they offer different XP systems and stuff, I still like experience points because I like seeing. For me, I think it drives play better because you're seeing this number get bigger. Maybe that's just my old school 1980s brain that used to play video games with scores, but that tracking number is something that keeps me going.
I like the subtle competitiveness that it instills. You don't do, you don't get, and you do great, you get.
The only exception to that in my game is my kid who plays with us, but they play on a very casual basis because it's just a way for them and I to connect. And so, when they can show up, they can, but they're 19, and I understand that you got a life and other things. So I've kept their level progressing with the rest of the group because it's already been established that they're not there as one of the hardcore regular players. So, I don't see any reason to penalize them for that. So.
Do you have the character do things when the player's not there?
Yep.
Okay,
they get ghost driven by the rest of the party.
Okay, then absolutely.
Yeah, and it's even funny because my nephew's PC, who had retired because our schedule changed, got reactivated while he's not there as an NPC. So.
Yeah, we used to do that ghost driving characters for people who couldn't show up when I played.
I try to remove them if possible, but if it's not logical to remove them, then they get NPC'd.
Yeah. Well, we're like halfway through an endless dungeon.
Yeah, if you're in the middle of the dungeon or we've left off in the middle of a fight, then they're there. They're regardless if the player can't make it. But if they're in town, it's like, no, the character just buggered off for a bit.
The only level I think I've only milestoned once in the game, and that's where there was a giant gap of time in the game, and I think it was actually coming back from a long break, so to kind of get everybody back into it, I'm like, all right, everybody take a level, just to kind of get them reinvested in their characters, because I think we'd been playing Call of Cthulhu for like 3 months at that point.
Well, yeah, would you really call that milestoning though? I mean, if like a decade goes by, you kind of have to assume that.
Yeah, it would still be a milestone. It still falls under the auspices of milestone. I don't consider that the same thing as milestoning, but I mean, honestly, I was using it as a DM for my own purposes to get people back into looking at their character. because they would have to go in and level up. So it means they're going to look back at their characters, they're going to refamiliarize themselves with their characters, and it's going to give them new things to try coming back from a long break. And also it's a huge gear shift from Call of Cthulhu back into 5e D&D. So
I hope it is.
yeah, but that was coming back from the attempt at doing modern Call of Cthulhu. Still not a huge fan of modern Call of Cthulhu. I feel like, oddly enough, it's more work than the 1920s.
Really, I would think just the opposite. Because as much as I love H.P. Lovecraft stuff, I feel that one needs to be something of a bit of an expert of the era of the time, not just the lore of H.P. Lovecraft, but how life really was, and that gets harder and harder. The younger and younger the players get, the harder and harder it seems to be able to attract them to that sort of era. There aren't like a lot of great movies that most people are familiar with of that time, not of that time, but about that time, to really draw people in, other than I really can't even think of anything right off the bat.
There's plenty, and at least in my circle, it hasn't been a problem. That also you can have Hollywoodisms take a lot of the heavy lifting. The reason I think that modern is more work, though, is in modern Call of Cthulhu, you have to work to mitigate a lot of modern convenience that you don't have to do in the 20s.
Oh, okay. So, I would use the location. If you took anybody who isn't military out of the United States and just dropped them somewhere, I mean, they're going to have an issue.
Yeah, but most Call of Cthulhu characters that are going to be going to somewhere in the middle of nowhere in the modern age are not going to be just rank civilians. And also in modern day society, it's easy to write off a lot of things like you were an outdoorsman, you were a travel buff, you worked for, the Peace Corps, you did whatever, there are lots of modern ways to accommodate. The big thing is having to deal with things like, computers and cell phones in the pocket, and even things like trail cams, just all the modern stuff that's out there that, you have to account for, because if you don't, as a GM, your players are going to blindside you with it. Now, once you get a hold of it, you can actually use it to freak your players out. Like when they're investigating a farmhouse and they go into a locked room in the back of the farmhouse and find a cutting edge surveillance computer system in there. Like, why does the sheep farmer have this? And they find out that
we're pig farmer.
Well, actually, it turns out that it's funny is because in that one, that went down such a rabbit hole. It turned into like investigating a possible werewolf in the woods down to basically running into a Nazi bunker in the mountains.
See, I have a bunch of friends who are actual paranormal investigators. They've done it in real life.
Yeah.
So I know think that would be like, it would be an easy sell. It's like, and then they're already ready and.
Funny you should mention that, because the characters in my modern game, they all run a paranormal podcast. And so one guy's the camera guy, one guy's the lore expert. There's a couple of people who are just sort of like the front, the voice people and stuff. So they have a skill set that makes sense with their group. So you have some people who have good social skills, and
What was the group in Supernatural called? Ghostfacers or some shit like that?
Yeah, Ghostfacers.
Yeah. I didn't watch Supernatural past the first couple of seasons, because once it became rinse and repeat, look, we've defeated the great evil, but wait, behind that is another great evil.
It went from I saw it all the way through. It was a guilty pleasure, but yeah, the quality was there
Besides,
was
the best
diminishing
episode
returns.
is the Scooby-Doo episode.
Oh, that was a good one, yeah. But that was season 13.
I know. I came back and watched that one because I'm like, it's Scooby-Doo.
I gotta go with Hell House with Blue Oyster Cult, man. First season Hell House was.
But no.
Have any of you read the Laundry Files?
The Laundry Files? No.
No, I recommend You look up a book series called The Laundry Files. It's
Have you ever
really good.
listened to the radio show The Magnus Archives?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Oh, listen to the Magnus Archives, man.
Okay.
That, and if you've, what is it, the other one that they recently turned into a Netflix series? It was interesting because it was one of the first times I've seen a podcast radio play get picked up for a Netflix series. God, is it? It's basically a guy gets sent to a remote area to process some recordings to look for some lore. It was done rather lightweight in the Netflix series compared to the radio show, but of course, compression, but yeah, it's cool to see that. Another one, if you want a really good radio play, is The White Vault. The White Vault, is it The White Vault? Yeah, The White Vault. It's very Lovecraftian. It's about this Arctic expedition in the modern age that goes up, and comic hilarity ensues. But that one was cool because they then spun off a couple of spin-off series that involved different aspects that tie into the main story. But it's just, there are some visuals as they're going, because it's a fully acted radio play, sound effects and everything like that. And there's like when they finally reach the culmination of what they're looking for, you're like, oh man, that is just such a nightmarish, like, imagine being there kind of a thing.
I think we're going to see a lot more of that sort of thing. Ever since the Blair Witch Project, that just blew the doors wide open for anybody else who wants to, go around Hollywood, I think.
Yeah. Well, and with podcasts, you do have the advantage of not having to pay for cameramen and visual effects and stuff. You just need a decent sound studio, some Foley work, and good voice actors.
Yeah. But the Laundry Files, it's about a guy who gets dragged into a secret service in the UK, just fighting paranormal stuff in the modern day.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I had for a while, I was writing a bunch of Lovecraftian short stories set in the Northwest where I lived.
Yeah.
And I had a character that I wanted to start writing a series about. Unfortunately, I didn't feel qualified in his career to sell it right. But I had this great kind of tongue-in-cheek idea for sort of a pseudo-funny Lovecraftian or horror investigation series where the guy is basically internet food critic guy who keeps stumbling into creepy things tied into restaurants.
Yeah, okay. I can see that being funny.
And it all came from basically a misspeaking of Amun Ra. Somebody said Ramen Ra. I'm like, oh man, that would be a great ramen shop. And then next thing you know, we're like, but what if it was, what if it was run by a mummy who was mind controlling people through his ramen? And,
Cultural fusion. Yeah.
But yeah, Ramen Ra. And by the time we were done, I had like this visual of like a big old neon Eye of Horus on the front window with some chibi anime pharaoh character slurping noodles.
You should write that up as a supplement for
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, it might actually work better as an RPG supplement. A bunch of food-based scenarios, because at that point I wouldn't have to feel that I'd have to be proficient enough as a foodie to really sell it to somebody who might be reading it as a foodie. I think role players are a little bit more forgiving when it comes to your level of expertise.
You could break it down even smaller and do it as a series with every restaurant being a new like $2 release on drive-thru.
Yeah, that could be fun. And they could be real short ones too that aren't super heavy, just kind of drop-ins, or maybe and then maybe the first one has a little bit of an attachment that's about running. Maybe you write up the character that I was thinking as like sort of a pre-gen.
You could make them non-level descript, right? So
they could be tweaked for the level of the group.
Yeah, that way you can just pick and choose whatever one you want to do next.
Yeah. I don't know. It could be fun. Maybe I should just outline it. I have an entire drive through, an entire Google Drive folder of all my Call of Cthulhu stuff, because I tend to, when I write adventures, because I'm a homebrew guy, but I tend to write adventures as detailed as I can. That way, all the thought work is done up front, and while it's not publication ready, it's usually pretty wordy and pretty fleshed out. So
Yeah, that's something might be worth looking into, right? Because that sounds like fun.
yeah, I mean, if anything, I could just run it as a campaign sometime and see how it goes, and then decide if it's worth writing up. But
Yep.
I do want to get my group back to Call of Cthulhu though, because yes, I have been running 5e for 2 years, but at the same time, I've been running 5e for 2 years, and I want to take a break.
Yeah, that's the one thing that really puts me off. Like, I hear 2-year campaign. It's like, do I really want to be playing the same game for 2 years?
No, granted, we've taken breaks during that time, but
Yeah.
still, it's. I mean, I have, and it's kind of weird because I have a player in my group now who's flat out said, "I'm really not interested in playing anything other than 5e. So if you guys decide to play 5e, that's cool. I'll just sit back and wait till you guys come back to 5e." And that just seems like such a foreign concept to me. Like, he just doesn't want, but he just doesn't want to bother learning another system. He's like, I got other things to do. This is the system I know, and that's fair.
You know, not everybody can be a full-time gamer, as their main
Oh, yeah.
hobby, Are any
that's
of you
why-
guys in games as players though?
I am in my brother's game. In fact, we have another session this Wednesday.
Currently, no.
Because sometimes that could be all it takes. You can keep running the game for your players, but getting into a game as a player, I know for me, this last year, I've run one game in the last year, but I've been in like 20. And to be honest, I am in no hurry to get back to being a DM. I'd rather, play as a player, having spent 40 years as the DM, it's been nice, guys. It really has.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
me, it's weird. I don't really get much out of being a player because I've been a DM pretty much not the entire time, but most of the time I've played. I think the last time I played as a player consistently was maybe the first 10 years of playing D&D.
You see, it's not just the playing, but like I was talking about the other, the polymorph issue, learning to kind of let go and just see what it's like to be on the other side has given me, kind of an understanding of what it feels like to be the player, to know what a player is going to want most, so that when I go into my next campaign, it's like, I know they're going to want this and I know they're going to want that, instead of I want to do this and I want to do that because it's my world, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, you gotta learn to let go.
You absolutely
Yeah.
do.
Absolutely.
I'm not a letting go kind of guy.
I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to having other people DM. I played with enough bad DMs that it's like, okay, unless there are certain standards, I'm just gonna sort of bow out.
Yeah, I kind of run into that problem.
That's
Kind of
what
in
I
a,
was
in a
talking about, though, is the caliber of DMs that we all know now. It's.
Don't worry.
I thought that at first, I was like, yeah, I'm the best. Fuck these guys. But no, I happily play in just about any game I can get into, provided it's on the right day or night, and et cetera. And I'm not hanging out with people I don't really, get
Don't
along
worry.
with, which I haven't met.
The job of DM will be soon replaced with an AI, along with the job
no,
of the
that'll
player.
never happen, dude. I mean, I do agree that there's room for coming up with that as an option. I'm actually completely behind that because
I'm joking.
I know, I
'cause
know.
I followed it up with as well as the player,
yeah,
so it'll just be
I've
like
already
3
come
AIs
up with-
playing D&D
I've
by
already come
themselves.
up with the conversation I could have with any AI right now that would actually cause it to self-destruct.
Yeah, for me, it's weird because the game I'm in as a player, my little brother is running it. And while he's only 6 years younger than me, the demographic of him and his friends is, I mean, it's very different. They're all very well-paid professionals, and I'm Mr. Blue Collar guy. Well, kind of gray collar. I have a desk job, but it's for, field work. But and so, I'm driving from my neighborhood to their giant, $400,000-$500,000 house neighborhood, but they're also a lot younger than me. I mean, he is younger than me, like 6 years, but some of his players are younger than him. So it's an interesting concept. That and just playing with somebody that I sort of brought up into the hobby is interesting. Being a player under my brother, I have to sometimes check him to make sure he's not giving me too much. It's like, you don't owe me anything, man.
That's a good attitude.
But no, it's a fun game. He's getting ready to run us through Wild Beyond the Witchlight in 5e, and or the parts of it he likes, because he's not a huge fan of running adventures as written, so he tends to like cherry pick stuff out of them. But it's also weird for me because this is one of those groups that has to schedule every session. They don't have like a regular game night, and I've always had the advantage of a regular game night because they're all young dads, and with small kids, and so it's like he has to put up scheduling by a poll. Okay, here's the next 4 Wednesdays. Here's the next 4 Wednesdays. Who can play on what day, and so it's all like, where can we get the most of them together? Like I had to sit out the last session and just kind of phoned in my moves, kind of thing.
Oh, well, as long as they're getting the game in, I guess.
Yeah, and it was a kind of a downtime session anyways. My character was going to split off from the party anyhow, so I'm like, you guys go play your session in Waterdeep while my character's at his teacher's Wizard's Tower and doing his thing. So
cool.
Yeah, I kind of not a big fan of those downtime sessions.
Well, I actually like downtime sessions. Back in the day when we used to play all the time, back in the roommate house, where it was literally like, what game are we playing each day of the week?
Right, I know. I remember those days.
Yeah, it was. We would run whole sessions that were just meandering around, goofing around in whatever big city was in the game, or in our Marvel Superheroes game. We'd actually have time to, not the actual things we did, but to put it in context, go have lunch with Aunt May and see what happens. Kind of a thing.
The inventing process with I could get into that. Creating new super gadgets and
when I
stuff
was
like that. Running
a Champions game, and we were playing regularly enough. One of the sessions, the team decided to go to a comic convention. One of the characters was trying to sell a comic based on himself. Another character was there because I can't remember what the Champions Universe's version of Captain America is, but he was there speaking, so this guy totally idolized him. He's like, "Oh, I gotta go see him." And then there was one of the characters was looking for a rare collectible, and then they ended up getting in a brawl because the big heavy from my team had to go to the bathroom. Like his character had to go to the bathroom, and so he's in one stall and he hears a voice that's familiar from the other stall. Turns out his arch nemesis is in the other stall. And so they got in a brawl in the bathroom at the comic convention and out into the parking lot.
You said you were playing Champions, not the Venture Brothers.
That's Champions. Yeah, I mean, Superheroes got a P too, man.
Oh,
not if you're the mighty Blatter.
Is there a Venture Brothers role-playing game?
Not yet.
Yeah, it's called Any Pulp Game.
Oh.
Venture Brothers is one of my absolute favorite TV shows of all time.
I would absolutely play Dr. Venture.
Yeah, it was that was a fun game though. Man. That was a fun game, the comic convention one, but it started out as a downtime thing that they wanted to do. And I, as the GM, I just kind of like, and what would happen if they ran into one of their nemesis at the con, and they did, and it was fun.
If I was playing the superhero, I'd be like, "It's my day off. Leave me alone."
He didn't get a chance because they came out of the stalls at the same time, and the bad guy is like, "You."
Venture! I can just see it.
Well, what's hilarious is they're two huge guys, because one of the dudes is the bad guy is this absolutely inhuman, jacked up, juiced up guy who's actually one of the official villains for Champions. I can't remember his name. It's been so long, but that was also the campaign that was way out of control. The heavy in my players group had been pushing everything into his strength, and then he also had density increase and growth. And if you know anything about Champions, when you grow, you get extra strength, and when you use density increase, you get extra strength. And so he already had a massive strength. When I finally caught up to what he was doing with his character, I realized that his character, if physics would allow, could lift enough to juggle aircraft carriers.
So he's like Super Hulk.
It was just insane. And then him and my buddy, who is another player in the team, who had a shrinking character. Imagine like a shrinking hybrid. Take Ant-Man, give him a scorpion theme, and then also work in elements of Wolverine. And that was his character. He was called Scorp. How original, right? But in Champions, when you recover from shrinking, you can use the levels of growth that it effectively gives you as movement for a move through attack. So they came up with this 1-2 thing that could almost one shot any villain I would throw at him, because like I said, I kind of lost control of what the players were doing with their characters. So Scorp would shrink down small so the villain couldn't see him. He'd come up from underneath him and uppercut him using all of the points of growth that he got as a uppercut punch with his already mighty strength. So it would toss the guy up in the air, and then the other guy who could grow in density increase would just grow huge density increase himself and spike the guy into the ground like a volleyball, and that would just do in any character I threw against him. And that's about when the campaign stopped. Actually, the killer part of it was we were playing at a comic store. The thing that really killed it was playing at a comic store, and the owner of the store invited like 5 new players without even asking me, because he would never say no to somebody who was interested in a game that was going on in the shop, because he didn't want to turn away business. And so I show up one night and I've got 5 new players. I already had like 4 or 5 to begin with, and they had some crazy ass concepts. Some of them were cool. One guy went so far as to actually custom build a miniature for his character, so he got bonus points in my brain. But we had a guy who was going around in a rabbit suit throwing adamantium carrots. We had, I can't even remember. They were just silly. And then one of the players that came in was this guy that I've mentioned a few times on the stream, on different streams. He's been playing Champions since it was being developed by the guys who created it first in college, and he's been playing with those guys since then. So he knew the game system in and out, and he came in with a starting character and was way tougher than anybody else could have been, because he could just tweak that point build system so good. So yeah, the game just it fizzled in like 2 more sessions. It was not. My brother was also in that game, and his character was so obscure that to this day we can't remember what his power did. But anyways, long story short, superhero games can be fun.
I love superhero games. The longest running game I ever ran, and I'm still running today, is essentially a superheroes game in like a Star Wars type of sci-fi universe, and it was my Evil campaign, and I'm still running it to this day.
That's cool.
I used to play Heroes Unlimited quite liberally as a kid. We enjoyed that.
We ever had a Heroes Unlimited game with a smattering of other systems, like Villains and Vigilantes, and the magic.
Never played a superhero game.
They're a lot of fun.
I'm a face rip guy.
I could never get the hang of that system for some reason, and yeah, like Gamma World, what was it, 3rd or 4th edition, and Marvel Superheroes. And I wish I never got rid of my Marvel Superheroes game because that's, worth a ton of money.
Yeah, it's to me it's still one of the best, and I may be biased, if not the best system for running superheroes. The character generation is a little clunky if you do it straight out of the books. There was a real quick Dragon magazine article that offered some options that make it much better. But in terms of system, it was actually ahead of its time also, because it had like an expendable XP where you could spend your karma in play to do things to affect your die rolls, to attempt power stunts with your powers, which was kind of cool. Yeah, you'd pay 100. I think it's 100 karma if you wanted to try and pull off a stunt with one of your powers.
Instead of it sinking into your level up.
Yeah, so you'd have a karma pool, which was your XP, and you could even just, like, let's say I'm punching a bad guy, I could spend karma to bump my result up on the table that you have, because they have this universal table. You basically take your level and then a percentile die roll, cross compare it for a white, yellow, green, red result, and then so it's all, and doing stuff on the fly was super easy because it was always +1, +2 column shifts or -2 column shifts for the GM
on the single table.
On a single table.
Oh, I like that. I like the sound of that right off.
So in the karma things, the neat thing is like, so every time you'd spend 100 karma each time you tried it, right? And then you'd roll and to see if you could pull it off. Now, if you succeeded, you got to do the stunt, and you would actually kind of bank that 100 karma. If you failed, you'd still bank the karma, you just wouldn't pull it off. And so as you tried it more often, your difficulty level went down. So it was that intuitive sense of, my hero is trying new things with his powers, and it's actually mechanically supported. And by the time you had got, if you didn't succeed in making it a permanent ability, by the time you had spent enough karma to buy a permanent ability, you just automatically got it as a permanent ability. So there was really not a lot of risk to doing it either, other than the risk in the moment, because a new power cost, I think, like 800 karma or something, and you would have spent that much along the process of trying to get this new power through the power stunts. But if you rolled well enough, you could spend 400 karma on it or something, and get it early on. It was really cool. It's just, like I said, such an intuitive system, and that karma went up and down as you played, which is another thing. Karma was your XP, but it was an experience points that you gained, not based just on your in-game fight actions and stuff like conventional XP you would think about.
Yeah.
But karma could also be affected positively and negatively based on your character's life. So examples they would use is like Peter Parker, for example. He's supposed to have tea with Aunt May, right? If he makes it and gets there, it's +5 karma. Like, not a lot, but +5, right? If he fails again, like he always does in the comics, right?
Yeah.
It's -10.
Ooh.
If you killed somebody as a hero, you lost all your karma.
Like somebody random or the bad guy?
Even a bad guy, because killing people is still not heroic, which I'm sure Shadow would appreciate the attitude, because you're all about the heroism. Now, there was a talent you could take called Casual Killer, which is what Wolverine had,
Or the Punisher.
and Punisher and stuff like that, which would keep you from losing your karma.
Okay.
For doing
Definitely
stuff.
want that.
But you also had a second XP called Popularity, and it was also influenced by what you did in game as well. So going and doing a speech at a college, for example, could gain you popularity. Gunning down, hurting an innocent, for example, in the public eye could be a big popularity downgrade. Which is why Spider-Man has such a low popularity, because J. Jonah Jameson is always running his slander campaign against him.
Yeah.
That was the second kind of XP you had in the system, which is really fun. So you're tracking these two things, and your popularity affects things like your kind of your social roles. And if you went into the negative, you then had infamy. Basically, you became you were looked on as a villain, and villains would have a negative popularity level that was kind of in the villain world was a positive, but in the public eye was still a negative.
So was Wilson Fisk viewed with popular or infamy?
Wilson Fisk,
He comes across as a philanthropist.
I think
public face.
so. When you're talking about the bad guys and the NPCs, a lot of them were tweaked, of course, to fit their roles in the comics. And so I think he had a pretty high popularity, and I think it even actually talks about it in his little background description. Because one of the cool things they did for that game is they went through and did the entire handbook to the Marvel Universe that Marvel had published just for their comics fans. They did a game version of that was the exact same art and did the profiles for every character that was covered in that handbook. They were big, thick 3-ring binder books that you could collect, and they were all alphabetical, so you could pull them apart and put them in order and stuff like that. It's really cool. But that game, just to this day, it's hard for me to find a game system that just sings superhero more than that game. And as you've just noticed, anytime I get on that topic, it's positive rant time, because that game is.
Have you checked out Vigilante City?
No.
I like it. It's a very sort of BX style of superhero game.
Yeah. I mean, I have played other superhero games, but I'm kind of at that point in my life where I realize what system I want. Like, I've played the DC Heroes game. I've played, Heroes Unlimited. I've played Champions. I've had Villains and Vigilante stuff, but never played it. But, we've played in other universes using the Marvel system because it's just a system.
Yeah.
And we actually, for the longest time, ran a campaign that was in our own homebrew universe where, like, all the really cool tropes are already taken. So we're going to do a world where, like, if I want to make, America's greatest hero, I can basically fill the role of Captain America in whatever character design I want. Or, what does this universe's God of Thunder look like?
That was what was great about villains and vigilantes, is the ability to really make the mega powered characters, the Superman, Green Lantern, the Hulk.
You can do that in Marvel too. Yeah.
Having characters that could literally fly the speed of light, things like that. That most DMs would just be like, no, I'm not going to do that. Well,
yeah. I think honestly, superhero games are one of those rare instances where you can have really wide gaps in power level between characters and have it feel okay and right. Because, I mean, if you look at, say, the Avengers, right? Just, very diverse team of, as far as like origins and power levels. You've got Thor and the Hulk in that team, and then you've got Black Widow and Hawkeye.
Yeah, I was going to say Tigra, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just like, even if you just go with the MCU, I mean, the Avengers roster is basically anybody in the Marvel universe at this point. Actually, it's one of the greatest supplements they ever did for the official Marvel Superheroes role-playing game. Is after West Coast Avengers came out as a comic, they did a supplement called Avengers Assembled, which was character profiles as well as like base layouts and everything for all of the existing Avengers, both West Coast and East Coast. And then they had a whole section in there on starting your own Avengers franchise. And so the idea was that the Avengers decided to franchise, and they suggested using your hometown. I'm like, well, not a lot of huge buildings to swing off in Seattle, but we can try. And they even had an adventure that they framed it where basically they had some of the Avengers characters were there in your town doing a cattle call, kind of Mystery Man style, but this is before Mystery Man was even a movie, for heroes to show up, and then some villains attack at the cattle call. So this is how you get your characters in. We ended up running a campaign for a while we called it the Atlantic Avengers. They were a team based in a converted ocean liner out in the Atlantic Ocean.
That's cool.
Just like
So like half a dozen
Aquaman,
different
other
Aquamans.
Aquaman.
No, they just, I mean, they had a big nuclear powered ocean liner, which had, a flat deck for landing Quinjets, training rooms in it, living quarters, everything that the Avengers mansion or anything would have, but on the water. So they weren't bound geographically to being set in one place. But it's cool. We had 5 or 6 characters in that one. For a while, I even managed to pull off a campaign where I had several independent groups playing solo characters and team characters, and then they would do crossovers and team ups and stuff like that. Ran a meta plot for a while where they were all working dealing with some big bad and didn't kind of know it individually, because the street level one-off character might be dealing with kind of the low-level thug angle of, all the weapons and stuff getting routed towards the bigger organization that was dealing with the kind of heavy hitter team, and it all came together. That was fun.
Yeah. Sounds.
On that note, I'm going to tap out, guys. I've already been. I've taken enough of a break from my editing. I've been learning Final Cut for my new videos.
We're live. We can't shut this off.
I don't know if that's the thing. I don't know if we actually have the ability to turn the stream off.
No,
we don't.
We're trapped.
Someone's going to have to wake up Hungar, or he's going to lose. I don't know. I don't think he's paying for his subscription, which means he gets 20 hours a month, and he can come back and he can come back and have nothing left.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if we all leave the studio, if it'll automatically shut down.
I would hope so.
Probably.
Because otherwise, it's kind of like a digital version of the Phantom Zone. We're all kind of stuck here. No.
You guys are stuck. I have a plane shift spell. I am a wizard after all.
Damn you, wizard.
Yeah.
Maybe my goose can save me.
Oh, I see the goose.
The wizard goose.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. But yes, back to editing. I'm learning Final Cut Pro, so it's a bit of a learning curve. It has eaten some time, so my new video is delayed, but it's almost ready. It's coming.
Yeah, your stuff is quality. It's worth waiting for.
Once I get the hang of the new editing software, it'll be back to the races. So
cool.
Well, have a good one, man.
Yeah, we'll see you on Wednesday for Geek Stream.
Oh yeah, I'll be there, assuming that work doesn't get crazy.
Right. All right. Good day, everyone.
Later.
Take care, man.
So, what are you painting there, Shadow?
He's not
Dungeons and
painting.
Lasers. Yeah, I've been getting my Dungeons and Lasers ready for the next video just to show them off. Before the next Dungeons and Lasers Kickstarter kicks off this week, which is 400 5th edition compatible, whatever that means, individual miniatures with their own
stats.
Well, they're actually putting together a monster book for the Kickstarter as well, and it's about they say it's going to be 400 plus miniatures at less than $1 a piece. Mind you, you got to assemble them. But
you still got to be able to pay for $400 up front. So,
yeah,
that's the one thing. It's like a lot of those things. The miniature per miniature cost is low, but there's so many of them. It's still out of my price range.
Yeah, what makes it worthwhile is these stretch goals. The last Kickstarter stretch goals included over 100 miniatures, including another giant, a bunch of things like a big old like stagecoach and a dragon and some buildings like a tower and a couple of different houses and huts.
Yeah. But
it also came with a Tarrasque that's well over 12 inches long and about 7-8 inches tall.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's no doubt that it's a good value. It's just, it's out, the price is way outside my range.
Yeah.
I haven't missed one yet. My very first video was a Dungeons and Lasers Kickstarter unboxing. The whole channel, was my son's idea. And thanks to Archon Studios, they've been really, really generous and kind to us. And, as long as I can afford it, I'm going to back, whatever they put out. It provide, I didn't back their He-Man or Wolfenstein and stuff like that because it's just not my, my bag. But
Yeah, I wanted to grab the He-Man one because
Same here.
I
you can still
definitely love
get it without the Kickstarter now, I believe, through their
I-
online store.
It's still
but-
one of those things. Like my discretionary spending is pretty minimal these days. It's I think I've mentioned it before. The reason we had to move to Missouri is just that on our income, we just couldn't afford to live in Washington anymore.
I totally get it. I want to get the heck out of California.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are leaving places for other reasons besides money. I had no problem with Washington as a whole. Not going to get into it or anything, but I love the state. It's where I've grown up. It's kind of where I belong, but I just couldn't afford it when the rent for like a 3-bedroom place, which is the minimum that I would have needed at the time, was going for $2,400 and up a month.
That's way too much. That's just
Yeah. Considering not that, I know it's not necessarily polite to talk money, but so we basically moved into the same place that we were renting in Washington. Here in Missouri, we were able to buy, and we bought a 3-bedroom with this big ass basement behind me for $165 in a pretty decent, suburban neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm 20,
what
30
I need
minutes
to do
from
as
the
well.
city, so I'm not right there on top of the city.
Mhm.
But in Edmonds, Washington, where I had been living, this house would have been valued at about $800,000.
Oh.
Yep.
Well-
I got the same thing going on here with where I live.
California's been
It's-
on that trajectory for a lot longer.
I live in
And-
Toronto, man. So like,
I mean, I
those
remember
are-
back in the 80s, Washington having a fit with all the Californians moving up there. No dissing in California. That's where like my family's from. My mom's side of the
wouldn't
family.
be alone. I can't
Yeah.
stand it here. I
My
was born
mom's
and
side of the
raised
family is
here.
from there. They're all Sacramento folk back in the
I-
day.
I've been all over the world, but I came back here about 20 years ago because my mom was really not doing well, and we bought this place, and it's worth 3 times what we paid for it. And if I move just about anywhere, I could literally open up my game store, which is my dream, to open up a game store that's hopefully right underneath, some sort of living space, like in the old days, the
Yeah.
general store where you live upstairs, on the main street of any town in Texas. And I've got so many game friends that, that a lot of them you guys all know that are right there. Whereas in the place I'm living now, I've been here 14 years roughly. I haven't met a single gamer here in 13, 14 years now. Going about my business, haven't met a single gamer.
have you?
But I've met, 20 gamers that live, well, more than 20, but, scores of gamers online I've met, and it just so happens that a huge concentration of them, Bruce Lombardo, Joshua from Total Party Skills, Omen Owl, and Bad Mike, and a couple other people, Weird World War II. They all live right where I want to, move to. Anyways, even if they didn't live there, I'd still want to get into Texas.
Yeah. It's weird though, because Washington is full of gamers, but I still, being the person I am, just never really met many of them. I'm still, the people I game with are people I've been gaming with for 20, 30 years now. And I haven't met a lot of new people, except for a couple of folks that I met coming here to St. Louis. And I only met them because my brother has been living here for years and is much more outgoing and social than I am. And so he's my extrovert scout.
Well, I'm a huge open
I need
carry
one of
guy,
those.
and if I can move somewhere where open carry is a thing, I carry here even though I'm not supposed to.
Don't say
it-
that on.
Prove it. I could just be lying.
Because besides, open carry, they have to catch you with the gun on you, not saying that you've done it.
Yeah, but
'Cause
hey,
anybody
we
can
know
just say
someone
it.
to look out for now.
Well, and like
If I'm on their radar from this channel, it's trust me, it would be the other stuff that I do that would put me on their radar. The paranormal
I'm
stuff.
kind of an oddball. Like I don't own a gun. I don't see it. I've never had an interest in doing so, but I also don't
You
have
got a
anything
baseball
against.
bat?
No, but I
So
also
if someone comes in,
somebody comes in, then okay, that's fine. It's just nothing I own is worth dying for. But I'm not going to go down that road. My point where I was trying to go with that though is I don't have any problem with anybody else who wants to own a gun. My best friend carries and owns weapons, and it's not a thing. I have other things I'd rather spend my money on. Is the thing. Yeah.
I can do
And-
both.
And
So
I'm
I
not,
do both.
and I am not making any judgment about anybody else's philosophy. It's not for me. I mean, I can kind of say that had I owned a gun, I probably wouldn't be alive. If I can go on that out onto that.
I'm the opposite end of that spectrum. If I didn't, I wouldn't. So I
Yeah.
totally
Well, I'm
get it.
also
And-
not.
and I know people like that who don't have any self-control and who should not even carry a pocket knife, let
Well,
alone.
it's just I've gone to some dark places in my life, and been, and I just know who I am. And again, it's I'm not gonna fault anybody for it. It's funny is
Yeah,
like
I
I
totally
get living in Washington. It's kind of funny because I get in these conversations with folks about it, and they're like, "Oh, guns." I'm like, "Well, I don't have any problem with guns. I just have problems with stupid people having guns." Yeah,
there definitely should be
Oh.
some requirements
Yeah.
or limitations because we're in a different era and a different mentality nationwide. It's very
I've had a
different than
gun
it
pulled
was.
on me 3 times in my entire life, and all of them were by friends. And they were all weird
I
situations.
think you need to
Well, no, I'll brief you on the stories
You
real
need
quick.
to find new friends.
So the first one, and keep in mind, a lot of these are incidental. So one of them was the classic after school special story. Remember after school specials?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So I was over at a friend's house. We were 12, 13, and he's like, "Hey, Eli, come up here. I want to show you something." And I go up into it, follow his voice up to his dad's room, and he's got his dad's 44 pointed at me. So
I had a friend do something like that with my dad. My dad's AR. My dad had a gun shop
Yeah.
when I was growing up, so it's literally in my DNA to plus previous
Yeah.
careers I've had that I had to do those things. It was on the dinner table. My dad was working on it, and my dad went to go do something. My friend and I were getting ready to play D&D, but the table was occupied by a bunch of gun shit. And I went to the back door to let the dog out. I turned around and my buddy's got my dad's AR pointed at me. He didn't know it was loaded. He was just fucking around. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
I mean,
totally.
the second time was
Not for
was
everybody.
was from by a friend who didn't remain so. I came into the local gaming shop and flipped the hat off his head. I'm like, "Hey fucker, how's it going?" Right? Like you do with your friends, right? And so he
Mhm.
pulls his pistol out of his shoulder rig and puts it under my chin.
Oh.
And everybody stops and they're like, what the hell, man? He just flipped the hat off your head. And so of course wasn't friends with him anymore. It was really awkward because he was also one of my good friend's roommates at the time. So I'm hoping that he went home and beat the shit out of him, but probably not. And then
Wow,
the third time
pretty
was
tough.
coming home on my 27th birthday. In a case of mistaken identity, my roommate pulled a pistol on me thinking I was somebody trying to break into the house because I was a little intoxicated and having trouble getting into the house. So,
The key goes in the keyhole, not
Well,
the mailbox.
that story is weird because I came home in a car that looked exactly like the car that the guys that had threatened him earlier in the day had been in. So I had gone out to do my birthday because none of my friends were doing anything for my birthday, right? And so I went out with another group of friends, and after that he had gone to leave. Somebody had rear-ended him, and he got out and tried to talk to her, and then I guess her brothers all showed up in a car and threatened him, like if you call the cops on her or do anything with insurance, da, da, da. And so here I come back at like 3-4 in the morning, and he hears somebody rattling around with the door, and he looks out his bedroom window that overlooks the driveway, and he sees basically that car. He's like, "Oh no,
Yeah.
they're back." But it's funny, as he come in and I could hear him pull the slide back on his pistol, and I'm like, I knew exactly whose gun it was and what room it was in. Like, Garth, don't kill me. I'm just coming home. I want to live. I want to live to be older than 27.
Oh,
But no, and kind of where I was going with that is funny. Is like, even with that in my life, like, I don't. If you're a
It's me,
responsible person and
Wayne.
want to own guns, that's cool. I
Oh.
have no problem with that. It's it's we all know somebody who really shouldn't own a gun who does.
Yeah.
Only online, maybe. In real life, everybody I know is a professional of one sort or another, and I thank God that they do.
Well, yeah,
And
but that's also the ability to select your friends. I mean, a
know
lot
at
of
least-
people who are in social circles or even families where they've got relatives and stuff like that who just like you can't control necessarily your connection to that person because they're in your
Mhm.
social circle, and there's the dumbass who really shouldn't own a weapon.
no,
Oh.
plenty of them.
Anyways,
have,
that
it's
is not
okay.
gaming talk. I don't know how we got there, but
This channel is random stuff, so don't worry about it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we're stuck here. But
I know. I wonder if Hungar's going to come back and actually see
The
what he missed.
prison. You can't see my hands touching the fake walls.
yeah, right now I'm just trying to get the space behind me. You can see it's like perpetually I've got these boxes on the floor because
Yeah,
I'm trying to
just-
get stuff set up so I have places to put the things.
The room behind you looks
Dude.
like when you see those hot chicks that take the photo of themselves. And there's nothing but garbage behind them.
Well, at least those boxes that you see behind me are full of miniature sprues.
Yeah, I can tell, but still, it's got that feel to it.
But it's a giant basement, and I'm slowly but surely getting. I got all my books up in shelves finally, and then
I will tell you, my gaming and workspace is worse than that, though.
yeah, I mean if I turn the camera down that way, you can
I
see.
can't even
Ooh,
go.
what
I
I'm
can't even
dealing with.
walk in my garage. My garage is so bad right now because it's
Yeah.
so cold, and
There's
such
my
a wicked
space.
little-
You could put a full wargaming table in that room.
Well, you see that table in the middle that's covered?
holy
Ah.
shit!
That is
That's massive.
that is a 7-foot long table.
Okay, the one
Dude, you could
that's
hold a
got
small
the
convention
comic
in that room.
books.
Yeah, the one that's got the comic books up on it in the background.
Yeah,
It-
the
Dude,
white
you
box.
could literally hold a small convention in that room.
Yeah, it's 1,000. It's
Yeah.
about I've got 2/3 of 1,000 square feet. So
Nice.
yeah, well, that was one of the big differences, big advantages to moving here. Because in Washington, they don't do basements. They just don't. And
Is that
everybody
a
here has
water level thing?
well, it's not necessarily a water level thing. It's not a light. It's just anywhere you move, houses are going to be built based on traditions as
Yeah.
much as they are structure. In this part of the country, in the flat states, basements are a survival tactic because tornadoes. And just like in California, they don't tend to build very tall because earthquakes. There are some exceptions. Same thing with the Northwest. They don't tend to build super tall because of earthquakes, but you don't really need a lot of basements in Washington because so much is built on hills, at least in Western Washington.
Yeah.
So usually what you'll get is something that's kind of like a basement, but you'll have a house that just kind of climbs up the hill.
Oh, a crawl space.
No,
not
it's
even
an
that.
actual usable space. It's just not underground. It's in the side of a hill.
Okay. I know what
Growing
you
up,
mean.
I had this buddy who had a cool ass house. He lived on the corner of where there was a linear street here and then another street that went up the hill. And the house they had was in the lot in that little nook. And so you entered his house across a bridge through the top floor of his house from the sidewalk, and then went downstairs to the various floors. It was like a 4-level house, and there was this curling staircase that went down the center of it that had the
Sounds like
bedrooms
a
radiating.
Hollywood home.
Well, it was all above ground. It was just built
Oh.
into this little nook where the hill went up. So his backyard was at street level for the lower street, and his front door was 4 stories up at street level on the side street. And it was just a really cool house. But yeah, that was the friend growing up who could only eat like healthy organic snacks and was limited on television, and
Did his parents always smell like patchouli?
No, actually, his parents were like serious professionals and like very intellectual, academic kind of folks.
Is that because you don't know what the smell of patchouli is?
Dude, I grew up around hippies. I know exactly what patchouli smells like, man. They were not. They were the other academics. They were the clean cut, like, very much
Early
smell-
adoptees of gummy bears. That's what you're saying.
no.
Everyone in that state smokes weed of some kind, okay? That's all I'm
No.
saying.
That's not true. I don't.
Uh,
I've lived there all my life. I
uh,
only made it through the 80s without even smoking any of it.
Good for you.
I've never
News to
tried it,
me.
in fact.
uh,
But no, it's they just
I'm living on-
legalized it here, which is good for my wife
I'm
because
living on stereotypes, okay?
I know.
Um,
The funny thing is,
Mm.
like Washington, like most states, is very divided as far as like its conservatism and its liberalism, depending on where you are in the state.
yeah.
Like here in St. Louis, we are in the giant blue dot in the red state, which I'm happy to be here because everybody knows that I lean a little left, but I'm also a decent enough person and not stupid. So,
Well, you better be careful, or the rest of the left is going to kick you out.
and that's
you might
fine
find
because
it
I
a
don't
little-
I don't want to be in their club anyways.
They're going to tie you to a post and burn you alive.
I mean,
That's what the left does.
both my kids are queer and it's cool and I love them and I have no problem with it. But at the same time, they're both. It's hilarious. My oldest is like, I don't even like half the queer people I hang out with. It's like because they're dumb. But
Yeah,
Okay. There's an indoctrination thing. Like you can go down that rabbit hole.
well, that can be said for both sides of the equation too, though. So if you really want to go down that whole, we can. But
Yeah.
we're not going to do that here.
No.
Because the fact of the matter is that there's good and bad on both sides, and there are extremes on both sides. And so, I mean,
and
that's
this is
just
not our channel.
yeah.
This is
And, I mean, that's
another-
just reality. I mean, that's not new. That's humanity since the dawn of time.
Yep.
Right. At least we can
Humanity
do
is
it
going to be
be
humanity.
respectful of our bros. Well, he's
Yeah.
not here.
Yeah,
We've
he's in the
literally
chat.
done an extra hour without him, and I'm starting to feel a little bad because I know the only solution is to call him and wake him up from his slumber.
He's in the chat.
Yeah, he actually came back and he's like, "I'm still going."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
Hunger, you
didn't
can
know
shut
that.
us down anytime you want, man. We just kind of been rambling and going on. We haven't even really been talking gaming stuff.
Yeah, 'cause we can't
Um,
literally shut ourselves down.
Yeah, well,
Let's
I'm one of
get
those
to-
people who will keep talking as long as you give me somebody to talk to. But
Woohoo.
Same here, man. I'm retired. I do literally lots and lots of nothing on many a day. When I'm not. I mean, I'm painting, but
yeah, I have an awkward issue with dead air. So if there's an open conversation space and nobody's saying anything, I feel obligated to fill it. It's
well, no, that is the nature of the business, so to speak. If you're, a content creator, whatever you want to call yourself, that is the death knell of your.
well, I know, like when I used to work in the office, everybody's like, because they'd ask, are you an introvert or an extrovert? In those little office meetings and stuff. I'm like, I'm an introvert, and everybody's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, I just cover it up really well. But my wife and I call it verbal squid ink. So, get in an awkward, uncomfortable position and just words. Big cloud of words comes out, and then I can hide in it.
Yeah, but that book series I mentioned earlier, the Laundry Files.
Yes.
If you like H.P. Lovecraft style horror and modern stuff, it's written specifically for that modern day.
Yeah. There's
stuff
one
beyond the
book I'm
stars.
really looking. I'll check that one out. And thank you for the
And
recommendation.
they're all on Audible, so
Oh, cool.
you can
There's
get
one
them.
I'm trying to track down that's interesting. It's Lovecraftian stories that are written and set in pre-European North America. So it's all like
Okay.
Native American encounters with Lovecraftian horror. It's kind of interesting.
That sounds interesting. Yeah.
There's
but-
also, well, I've been finding that there's all these compilations of Lovecraftian short stories. There's one that's all Age of Sail Lovecraftian stories. Which
yeah.
that, I mean, you want to give me pirates and Cthulhu? Okay, cool.
My favorite is still my favorite is still the Robert E. Howard's version book of Lovecraftian stories. Best of both worlds.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
so I I had a thought and then it disappeared. I must be getting tired again. Like I said earlier,
Right.
I'm not feeling great, so I decided I would jump on because I finished eating my lunch and I figured I'd come on and maybe see if that helped me wake up. But yeah, I woke up this morning just dragging ass and just not feeling great. So
Okay.
oh, but yeah, yeah, I've still got no place to paint. If I do any painting, it's on my work desk because it's the only space I have that's flat that doesn't have something on it right now while I'm sorting everything out.
Yeah. You definitely. I'm ripping this room apart for that same reason. I have no place to paint.
Yeah,
I
well,
got a
you
place
see
to
behind
paint
me
it.
there I've got my cabinet of shame. That's where I put all my work in progress miniatures. It sits right next to the painting desk that's behind me.
Yeah.
So I'll be constantly reminded that I have stuff that I need to finish. So
Yeah. Currently, my painting stuff is covered in all my brewing stuff.
well,
Yeah.
there's a thing. But
Which is not where you should be putting those two things. You know.
yeah, don't confuse
Yeah,
your
paint
brewing
thinner
stuff
with
for
your
your paint water.
alcohol.
Is this a beer or a paint cup? So tomorrow I get to see if my party will actually get to and survive their dungeon crawl against an ancient white dragon. So
Yeah. Ooh, Ancient White Dragon. That sounds like fun.
yeah, especially considering they're only 8th level. But so when I started this particular adventure arc in motion, I expected that they might do some other stuff before they went to the dragon, but
Oh.
they decided to go to the dragon. So
Well, have half the party die. Just
we'll see. Because I mean, they still got to do a dungeon crawl there, and there's still a chance for them to come up with some ideas on the way. But the whole series of events is set in motion by their home village having the local ancient red dragon land on their doorstep and give them an ultimatum saying they have to go kill this white dragon for him, otherwise he'll burn down their village. And so
so have them try to team up with the white dragon to kill the red dragon because he's the actual antagonist.
well, what they don't know, and hopefully my wife can't hear this through the floor above me because I can hear she's up in her office and she's in my game, is that the white dragon the white dragon has an orb of dragon kind and has been using it to capture the oldest of all of the chromatic dragons in the mountain range that's up there in the campaign setting, because she's going to perform a ritual to make herself the embodiment of Tiamat on Earth, basically. So she's going to go through and sacrifice one of each of the chromatics to basically, I'm going to combine all the powers into myself, so she's got this big ritual that she wants to make herself pretty much a living dragon god. And so the red dragon knows that she has the orb of dragon kind, so he's not going to go anywhere near her because she's managed to snag the other dragons using it. So he's like, nope. He's like, I'm not going near it. You can go take her out. So it's going to put the party into an interesting position because they could try to team up with the white dragon, but if they learn about what she's trying to do, then and they help her win, then they're not doing themselves any favors either. So they're kind of, which one are they going to deal with?
I would make the hints to that plan very subtle, so it's 50-50.
Well, they've already started wondering, like they're like, why doesn't this red dragon just go duke it out with her himself? They're both ancient dragons, and of course, a chaotic evil red dragon is probably going to love to use somebody else as a proxy rather than put himself there because he's evil and he's not the nicest guy in the universe. But Yeah, so they are asking those questions. They did a lot of planning. Like they did a whole session worth of hiring extra manpower, getting gear, and looking for some magic to help them out. Um, so hopefully, in the week's travel it takes to get back up to the mountains, they might divert to some of their other allies that they know to try and get some extra power, but then completely leaving it up to them how they approach this. Because I play my campaign settings very, very open, very real. Like, here's the problem, here's the world you live in. You've been adventuring in this world for 8 levels now. You've already got other resources that you know of, and they did utilize some of those, but they're feeling time pressured. But I'm hoping that once they're out of the eyesight of the red dragon, they might go, okay, he's not breathing down our neck. He doesn't know how long it's going to take to do this deed. So we have some time to maybe divert and get some extra stuff.
Yeah, I remember liking stories that had like different possible outcomes to what you did.
Well, yeah, I mean this group has been really good. Like at one point, there was earlier in the campaign there was a big, resurgence of an ancient necromantic cult that was coming around, and rather than go try to take them on head on, they started fighting a guerrilla war against this group of them that were moving from point A to point B. They started picking them off on their flanks and trying to misdirect and isolate and separate them. And I'm like, that was some smart play. I mean, because they could have gone toe to toe with the big group of like 50 or 60 half dead minions with their priests and stuff, but no, they would just like engage and lead them off, set traps, things like that. So it's, they're a smart group. So I'm hoping that, I mean, they did do it, like I said, they did do a lot of planning before they set out, but they were only given a week by the dragon to get their crap together and get moving before he started making their lives miserable. So,
because from what I've heard you say so far, the only thing they're trying to prevent is their village from being burned. So the only one actually threatening the party so far is the red dragon.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, I think they did consider, well, we could fight the ancient red dragon or the ancient white dragon, or we can fight the ancient red dragon. We could just try to take out the red dragon, but he's sitting right outside of our village, and so if we fight him here, then what's the collateral damage going to be?
Yeah.
So,
hey, everybody in the chat, I just wanted to say hi to you guys because Hungar's not here doing his thing. Echo, Hungar's in the chat. GM, Fritz, how you doing? Echo, hey, thanks, Crafting Gamer. I appreciate that. Squirrel, where the hell you been, man? I haven't seen you in like a week or two, man.
I think he's been working because he made a comment on my stream or my channel the other day that he almost swung by my place.
Yeah, I usually, see, 1 or 2 or 3 of his little shorts every day, and I haven't seen him in, a while. But I do, now that you mention it, remember him saying he had to go out of town or something like that. But glad you're back. Hopefully, all is well over there with all you guys. Because we're now we're now into the 3rd hour of
yeah, Hungar, you should shut us down so we don't eat up all your StreamYard's time, man.
Yeah,
Shadow, something going on with your name?
No.
I just got a thing from Hungar saying, check out your name.
SHADOW and son. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, he corrected it from when it was mispronounced. Remember, for a while he was Sadao, but
yeah. Okay. I was looking at Discord because I just got a beep that said, "Tell Shadow to check his name." Yeah.
On my end, it looks just fine. They go cap.
No.
I usually do the and, not in cap, but not nitpicky. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
I was gonna do a painting, a 5-minute painting video, but
yeah,
I'm actually gonna have to skedaddle because I got to do like
yeah. I think
real
we
world
should.
stuff.
Yeah, I need to get back to real life too.
Let's all go
I mean,
drink.
Cheers, guys.
Oh,
No, it was really good talking to all you guys.
well,
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's always fun and interesting.
it was nice to get in and like just have some casual conversation. To be honest, a lot of times it's like on a point.
Yeah.
So
Yep, that's I end up getting there, on Saturday night when I do my thing. I try to have a topic or two, but after an hour or so, and depending on who's there,
yeah.
it's eventually going to devolve into just
Well,
Yeah, I keep
uh,
trying to make those things, but they start in like my last half hour of work.
you all know me. I
so-
like to shit talk.
So by the time I get there,
So-
you guys would be done anyways, and I would have missed the point anyhow. So
I totally get it, Justin. If you saw me in some of the other, some of the other shows or the other chats that I'm in, I can, I'll
Well,
just be a joker,
even
uh,
even when I'm in chat, I deliberately go out of my way to shit talk because it helps the analytic of the channel. The more interaction you have with it, so
Mhm.
I'll just post random shit just to help out people alike.
yeah, I do like you do come up with some actual cool talking points though when you're not shit talking. So those are also good.
Yeah,
I think every one of us is, all got our own unique thing to add to just about any conversation. Well, depending. I mean, there's a couple, if you guys start talking, alcohol or,
Well.
I don't. So I used
Yeah,
to
I'm
drink.
not much
I
of a
drink like
drinker
a
either.
kid. But I gave it up because my son. It was his 3rd birthday, and his family on mom's side came over, and he had never seen people drink before, and all his family that he loves, just started, changing before his eyes, and even as a little kid, he understood something was going on, but it was scaring him, and I'm like, say no more. I will
Yeah,
not have another drink. And it wasn't me. I had like a Corona, and I'm just like, I was kind of over it anyways. And I'm like, you know what, bud, you're right. They're acting like fools, and you won't see that from me. And
Yeah,
maybe
think
someday I'll
think
have
think
a
of all
drink,
the stuff you can buy with the money you're not spending on alcohol.
Well, I don't buy much. Like, I still have like a bottle of rye from 5 years ago. So
Yeah, I mean,
no, but some of us, some of the people we hang out with, can, knock
Throwback.
back, quite, yeah. And,
Yeah,
and I did that, I started drinking when I was, like 14 because I could get away with it, and then I quit, and then I started again, then I quit, and now all I drink is water, no Coke or soda or milk or juice or anything, but just pure water. And it was one of the best health decisions I've made, and I can't even,
you should probably throw some milk into that.
coffee and
I
water.
get plenty,
I
I get
drink.
plenty of dairy.
Okay.
No, coffee was the reason I quit drinking everything else, because I was drinking a lot of coffee and a lot of soda, and
Yeah.
it was having effects on me that
I drink
I-
fancy coffees, so that's where my dairy comes in because my coffees are like 50% milk.
yeah. When I was drinking coffee, I
I'm
was
from
making
Seattle,
homemade-
man.
I drink
I was
milk,
making-
right?
Check this out, man. You'll
Just
appreciate
straight.
this. I was making homemade mocha fraps. I would make a blender full
Yeah.
of, and that was my breakfast and my lunch.
Yeah.
Literally no food, and then dinner.
Well, there's your
and-
problem.
Yeah.
I'll get up in the morning before work and make myself a quad shot, and then drink that, and then water, and then around lunchtime I'll make myself another quad shot. But it's interesting. It's funny. They actually did a study that, interestingly enough, like Washington State was leading the country in calcium levels, and it was due to the de facto default coffee habit that everybody up there has because we're all drinking mochas and lattes and stuff.
Oh.
Dude, I miss some of the places up there. Around here, there's no standalone espresso stands. And up there in Washington, they were everywhere. I loved going to Bigfoot Java. They were good stuff. Private.
Yeah, I do miss it. Whenever I smell fresh coffee, it gets me right here, man. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I
can't do
just make it at home now. I have an espresso machine and a coffee bar at my house. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, hey, if you ever get out of the gaming hobby, you could just open up a little shop downstairs, man. The place is big enough.
that's it. I'll panel everything. Like my brother's basement is hilarious because the guy who had the house before, because it's an older, nice house, but you go downstairs and the entire basement's done up Tudor style.
Ooh.
Well, so it's all cross beams and wood paneling and
Is he
there's a
Irish?
little what?
Is he Irish?
No, well, my brother's not, but probably the guy before is, because Missouri has a pretty high Irish population. They even actually have an Irish neighborhood called Dogtown in St. Louis. Yeah,
like the Tudor
I tried
style.
to go out to the store yesterday and got diverted for about almost a half an hour trying to get around all the damn St. Patrick's Day parade reroutes.
Did I miss that? Wow.
What?
Yeah, St. Patty's Day was yesterday.
Well, it is
I-
technically Friday, but
Friday. Well,
Sunday is when they did the holiday for it, or the celebration for it.
I'm half Irish, and I didn't even pay attention.
I just needed groceries, man. I figured I would beat the church rush because I'd get out in the day, and Sunday is here because that's another thing that's different about this state is.
you needed
There are
a
so
gallon of
many
Guinness and
churches.
some green dye.
But like where I come from, I mean, there are churches, but man, I go down the street out by my house, and there are 5 on one block. And I'm not a particularly religious dude, so.
But every time you walked past the door, you felt like Satan was clawing at your back.
Well, it's funny. I think I've probably been in a church maybe literally a handful of times my entire life.
Oh,
When I was a kid, I used to get paid by another kid to go to his youth group and keep him from getting beat up.
I used to play a D&D game at a nunnery.
Well, it's funny is as much as the Satanic Panic was a thing, there were actually old school GMs too. I remember going to a convention where there was a Baptist minister he's like, I've been running D&D campaigns at my church forever.
It could, in the right hands, it could easily be a very, beneficial thing for, teaching youngsters, particular morals and ethics and values. I see it to be highly instrumental.
Well, and even
helpful,
just basic educational stuff too, it's got value. And
Yep.
and the Christian folks back in the day even recognized it, because there are some really old Christian themed RPGs that were created back in the day.
Yep. I one of the reasons why I do my prepper video for gamers is because I've noticed that a bunch of my military buddies, they do role playing, even though they don't game. They do role playing in the military as mental exercises for, what would you do if, or what would you do,
Oh yeah.
in this situation. YouTubers and people in real life that I know do it, and it's I'm sure that it's helped out a lot of people, and Max will tell you from Legion of Myth that they do a lot of in games and theory and strategy. They use the same principles and concepts to work.
They've been doing it in civilian life too. I mean, there's the White Cross group that uses zombie apocalypse concepts and theming to teach disaster preparedness.
Yeah.
And post 9/11, really shortly after, there was a MIT panel that they were inviting folks down, where they put to all these brainy folks in a room. Okay, so Godzilla walks out of the Pacific. How do we actually prepare for this? So they're using a goofy, fun, role playing scenario to teach and brainstorm and think tank real heavy duty, hardcore, urban disaster, preparation and response. And those are great tools. I mean, they get people, you make them fun, so people start thinking about it, and then people get into it. And you're right, the military uses it. I mean, now corporate America is even using D&D as team building, which I think is cool. I mean, there are folks I know who've put their DMing time on their resume, because depending on the company you're going to apply for, they may actually recognize your time as a DM as basically management experience. You're a project manager, you're a team manager.
You can adapt to things going upside down.
Hey, I literally put one of my my party members on a verbal, written, and final warning once.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, and it worked. He didn't get booted from the campaign because when I told him, dude, this is your final warning. If you don't change, if you don't stop doing this behavior, I'm going to have to kick you out of the group.
Do you mind if I ask what the behavior was?
It was he kept over talking people in play. It was a few things. So actually, a bullet pointed the things on his written. He kept over talking players. He kept trying to skill pile. So basically, somebody would go, "I want to search for secret doors," and he'd be like 150 feet away. He's like, "Oh yeah, I want to search that wall too." And then the big thing is he kept trying to buy equipment before they were even in a position to buy it. And he would say, "Oh, I'll just write it down on my character sheet so I remember when we get to town." We're like, "Dude, no, you don't have a tarp." And I remember the tarp. He was just so bent on getting this freaking tarp. I'm like, you guys are 2 weeks from any town where you can buy a tarp. I get that you have the gold, but you don't have a tarp until you can get there and buy it. It's just really as a series of minor things that he kept doing.
Yeah.
A couple of them were very just rude table manners, but the other one was just like really just not wanting to work within the constraints of the game. He was always wanting to have his character have things that he couldn't have. He had the ability to get, but hadn't had the opportunity to get. And that was really disruptive. But at the same time, I had one of my players back out because he also was getting into it with another player because the two players just weren't mixing. One guy kept wanting to do secret squirrel stuff where his character was keeping secrets from other characters, but he was also keeping secrets from the other players, which in my experience just never works well. And then, but the other guy who was in the party who was suspicious about him, he's a hardcore role player. He's actually like a second generation D&D player. His uncle was a D&D player and taught him how to play D&D. So it's like he's like lived, breathed D&D his entire life, right? And so at the table, everything that is said at the table, he takes as in character. If you jokingly go, and my character punches the barmaid in the face, and he's like, well, my character's going to get up and put your guy in a headlock because that wasn't cool. It's like, no, I was just kidding, man. Yeah, Now, granted, that other behavior can be problematic as well.
Yeah.
People just shooting, but he takes. I finally had to tell him, you just can't. We're not that table. I know you've played in closed tables before, where everything said at the table is in character, unless specifically stated otherwise. But that's not this table.
Yeah.
It's also that game that made me ban secret squirrel stuff at my table. I'm like, I am all good with your character having secrets, but let's just not keep secrets between players because that's just bad juju.
It depends
Well,
if the secret you're playing is something that the party is looking into. Like, I had this idea for a character that was secretly a serial killer, and the party would be like, I was talking with a friend a while ago about this, and it would be one of the things the party would be looking into without realizing that a member of the party was actually the guy doing that.
So I think there's a difference between like background secrets and actual in-play secrets.
No, ongoing, still killing people.
But is it done off camera and kind of between games? That's kind of different. So what I'm talking about is in play, having the elf character pass me a note as the DM saying my character is going to sneak away from the party and go do da 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 da, and then keeping that close to the cuff. There are a couple of good reasons that I don't like that. Not first of all, it creates kind of a weird adversarial relationship between players. And granted, certain groups it can work for. Like anything, there's a caveat. It just kind of depends on your players. Because I know Vampire the Masquerade groups are just full of that because that's the game, right?
Yeah.
But in D&D, the other thing I find is if you're doing secret squirrel stuff and you let everybody at the table know out of character, they can riff off that. And it can create some
Yeah.
fun moments where they're kind of playing off of the knowledge that they have, and not in a bad way. Some people might call that meta, but that's like, I mean, meta, there is good and bad meta in games. Face it, all
Yeah.
RPGs are to some degree just meta right off the bat. Like
You can't play someone and not have meta in it
Yeah.
because you're not that person for
your
real.
perceptions
Yeah,
of the world
right.
are based on meta.
Yeah.
You know, but so when you're open about character secrets at the table, it does allow everybody to kind of riff on it and have fun with that secret. Like, let's say your character is, wanted by the king, and
Yeah.
The king's men come around the corner, and the rest of the party knows there. How cool and fun is it to be for the rest of the players to go, oh man, how's this going to go? This is going to be so cool. Instead of suddenly being taken off guard by your character suddenly acting like this weird sketchy freak who's like, no, I got to get out of here. And they all know, so they can kind of laugh along with it and stuff.
At some point, though, someone in the party is going to think that the secret squirrel shit is, detrimental to them or against them somehow, and
Yeah.
it's really something
Passing
that,
notes is always sketchy.
Well, and that's the thing is, if it's kept secret from the players, exactly, Shadow, they don't know what's going on. So then it does breed this kind of this element of paranoia and mistrust and adversarial.
Yeah, and that's the last thing you need when you're trying to build a team of heroes that are going to go and save the world together. Last thing we need to find out is secret squirrel in the corner over there has been working for the other side, or maybe worse, is the other side, or God only knows. And I think it all came about from the old thief mentality of stealing from the party.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where my mind goes to, is like, okay, what they find and not tell us about.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
in a related but not exact thing. I mean, that's also why I think like lone wolf characters and edgelord characters fail, because they want to be so internal, but they want to keep it all secret from the rest of the players. And what they don't realize is that the successful lone wolf characters, say like Wolverine, for example, right,
Was always part of the party.
well, they're always part of the party, and they always still manage to have a connection to somebody.
Yeah.
In the comics, Wolverine had his connection with Kitty Pryde, and he had his sort of connection with Jean Grey, and even had his rivalry with Scott. But imagine that same rivalry with Cyclops in two different ways. Edgelord lone wolf player who just decides arbitrarily and on his own that he's going to have this rivalry with this other character in the party and never explains it, never telegraphs it, never really keys everybody else in on it.
There's no reason for it.
Or it's done openly and both those players can kind of play that up.
Yeah.
Which is going to be more successful, which is going to be more fun, and which is going to make that lone wolf character not the pain in the ass that lone wolf characters end up being all the time.
Yeah. Even the example you gave earlier about the note for sneaking away from the party, right? There's no reason to not say that out loud.
Yeah, because is anybody going to sit there and go, oh, don't do that? I mean, they may even out a character go, man, that could cause problems, but at the end of the day, it's your choice. And there is a DM at the table who can sit there and say, no. This character wants to sneak away from the party. It's cool. And you guys don't know it. Or I can sit there and say, all right, make a if we're playing 5th edition, I can say, okay, make a stealth check to see if you can slip away without anybody noticing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to notice that he's gone, but they won't notice when he left necessarily, which direction he went,
If I got a note like that was that arbitrary, right? I would just hand it back to him and say, read this out loud to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the guy's character. I mean, he was
Sounds like a good character.
Well, the guy's character, his whole principle was he was from, in that particular campaign that I was running, there was an isolated high elf kingdom. So original, I know, but his character had gone out into the world as a spy for the high elves, and that was his character's thing. Considering none of the player characters have any stake in the politics of the world, it's really nothing against them that he's a spy in the world, or even that they know. But he still wanted to play it secret, and that was the problem, because
they don't have to know why he's sneaking away.
Well, and even if they do know why, it's your friend at the table that you're playing with. Do you want him to have fun? You want to have fun. Let him have his fun. As long as his fun isn't hurting you and the rest of the game, then there's no problem with it. And ultimately, that secret squirrel crap is going to do more harm than people knowing he's being all secret and sneaky.
Yeah, as soon as the notes start passing like that, the players are going to assume the worst.
Well, that, and as a DM, I don't want to have to keep up with that crap half the time, too. I mean, there's a bit of a self-serving thing. It's like, because next thing you know, what happens, that I may do something that tips the hat of the secret squirrel, and the next thing they're all pissed. I told the story about me spilling the beans on my buddy's ninja character in Oriental Adventures the first session.
Oh.
So, it's like, oops. Yeah. He's like, great, thanks, man. But, it's...
now I have to kill the party.
What was that?
Now I have to kill the party as the player,
But it goes so much better when people can just all be on the same page. I think, it makes for a better game. It's like when we used to play superhero games, and
I gotta play a superhero game, man.
One of these days I'll run Face Rip. I got to get into a position where I've got the setup and the time to run online. And because there are some games I would happily run online, including some weird niche ones. But
well,
I want that
you
to kill everybody.
Invite to my Venture Brothers campaign.
What was that?
I'm currently writing. It's not going to be in the Venture Brothers world, but it's going to be a Venture Brothers inspired.
Okay.
Superhero, and there will be superheroes, but the players are going to be on the mystic side, kind of like the triad, but
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I can't be Brock Sampson?
Well, you could.
No. Well, I mean, if you want to model your character after him in the group, that's cool. That's great.
I just want to have
Mystics need a bodyguard, right?
Right.
Exactly. I want to have a sweet car and nail everything to the wall.
It's going to be kind of like a cross between the Venture Brothers and Supernatural, because there's a lot of elements.
Oh, so
I got to bounce out, guys. I'm sorry. We kind of went even half an hour over when we said we were going to leave.
Yeah, I know.
Later, guys.
I'll be the last one standing, because I'm going to go and tell Hungar to come in and shut it down, or he won't have any minutes left. I've seen it actually happen. So if you want to bounce, go ahead. I've got another device I can tell him to come in. Freaking shut
I can yell at him on Discord as well. Okay. But
take care. So everybody, now that I've got your undivided attention, I'm kidding. I'm going to call up Hungar and get his butt in here. Tell him to shut down the show. Otherwise, he will come back and have no minutes left, and that would suck. I almost did that. That's how I know, in case you guys are wondering. Now, if Hungar were to make me a moderator, then I could shut the show down myself. I hate to wake him up, but I really don't know another way to facilitate this. And he's not answering. That's not a good thing. Hungar, are you there? Nope, I'll try it again, because I too have to get rolling with my regular daytime activities. Let's see who's still in the chat while I'm here. Is there anybody in the chat? Yeah, I think he's sleeping too. Yeah, and I called him twice. I'm going to call him a third time, and then I am going to have to just hang up on all you folks in the chat. Hey, crafting. Because it's not even halfway through the month, and I know he's going to want to do more of this. On Wednesday and Friday, we do our regular show together. Come on, Hungar, answer the phone, buddy.